The year is 2014. You are in the nuclear wasteland that is your room, marinating in your filthy pajamas. Your little nugget of a thumb is scrolling through the petri dish of bacteria that is your phone. That bad boy contains an undiscovered strain of the plague. That's when you come across them. What was that?
They say my lip gloss is poppin', my lip gloss is cool. All the boys keep jocking, they chase me after school.
This can't be.
Do it for the vine. I ain't gonna do it. Do it for the vine. I ain't gonna do it. Do it for the vine. I ain't gonna do it.
This is what the elders have prophesied. You'd heard whispers of these sentient snapbacks gathering an army of young hormonal girls, growing more powerful by the day. But this is the first time you've witnessed them in their full glory. You try desperately to not succumb to their siren calls, but you feel your strength waning. You're gyrating. It's mesmerizing. MAGCON. I haven't heard that name in years. Sometimes when I stare into nothingness, I'll get flashes of those slender testaments to parasocial relationships. They're staring right back at me, their gazes unflinching. The remnants of their cult can still be found online, like this sacred text that I stumbled upon in my field research.
No one can make us fall in love like Cam. No one can make us feel important like Matt. No one can make us go crazy like Taylor. No one can make us laugh like Nash. No one can make us smile like Aaron.
They're running out of descriptors.
No one can make us want to sing like Shawn. No one can make us blush like Carter. No one can make us happy like Jack and Jack. No one can make us grateful like Bart. No other family loves like MAGCON.
I would pay to read this back to the 11-year-old that made this meme back in 2013. What do you think she's doing now? I bet that she's a nurse practitioner with a jewel pen addiction. Godspeed, Queen. Many of you around my age might have remembered the phenomenon that was MAGCON. I am many things. A propagandist, a tax evader, what the French call malade mental. But I am above all an educator. And what better way to give yourself PTSD flashbacks than to delve into one of the most short-lived but iconic flash-in-the-pan pop culture moments of our adolescence. If you were a MAGCON girly, don't worry, I'm not here to drag you any more than I already have. It's okay, you can admit it. This is a safe space. Did that sound believable? And if you've never heard of these guys, strap in. MAGCON, which stands for Meet and Greet Convention, was born kicking and screaming on either September or October of 2013. Sources vary. My apologies, but this is a video on MAGCON. The sources are not exactly peer-reviewed. It's like fanfiction.com, not the frickin' Smithsonian. Meet and greets were nothing new. Celebrities, musicians in particular, had been granting their fans and stalkers the luxury of sniffing their hair in person for years. They're still a thing. Bart Bordolin, I think I'm pronouncing that last name correctly, was a Louisiana entrepreneur. That sounds like the opening lines to a Mark Twain novel. Now, this man, and I say this in the nicest way possible, looks like a handsome Frankenstein's monster. And in Louisiana, he must have been killing it on OkCupid. He got the brilliant idea to create MAGCON when Aaron Carpenter, not Aaron Carter, who I kept mixing him up with, not physically, just name-wise, and tragically in terms of my predictions for his career trajectory. Aaron was the son of a family friend. Again, this is a town in Louisiana. There's like two family names. Carpenter, who was like a little cherubic Yakubian boy with a chain upon him that you just want to squeeze in your hands like a grandmother, was gaining clout online, especially on Twitter, where he would make funny captions to images.
If I woke up in a K-pop artist's body, the first thing I would do is tweet a video of me taking the fattest rip and caption it, "I hate my white fans," then turn off my phone.
All right, that was the wrong tweet. I had no choice. He scrubbed his entire Twitter of all of those deliciously humiliating high school posts. Now all you see is this.
I love the South, but I hate the humidity.
Come on, Carpenter. Where are the tweets from 2012 about Sandy Hook, followed by a slur? He had amassed 200K by this point and decided it was time
to start a
No. Not yet. He hosted a meet and greet in a Dallas mall called Galleria. 200 girls showed up. Bart saw this concerning display of how deep children's parasocial relationships with strangers could be, and he asked himself what any red-blooded American would. How can I exploit this? Bart told Vulture magazine, "My thought was, if I brought a bunch of guys together and we organized it, made it more of a formal event, made it a party, made it fun for the fans, this thing could go big." He doesn't sound anything like that, but I don't want to overdo my southern accent, because it's gonna make an appearance later on in this video. Torio. On September 28th, 2013, in H-Town, USA, history was made. MAGCON put on their first performance. Now, when I said earlier that MAGCON was either created in September or October, the reason for that is because a lot of the OG lineup did not come on to the live performances until October. The lineup, of course, included Cameron Dallas, Nash Grier, Jack, and also Jack, Taylor Caniff, Matthew Espinosa, Aaron Carpenter, Carter Reynolds, and Shawn Mendes. Kind of. He was a feature. With Mahogany Locks as the DJ, / designated girl, / black one, I think. Hold on. She's Berry Gordy's granddaughter? Why am I even surprised? Hollywood is more incestuous than the Habsburgs. Her stage name is still Mahogany, so she could have been Tilda Swinton levels of translucent. She still would have been considered the black one. The tour consisted of 8 stops in the great states of United Thee. After Houston was Dallas, Wetter Tampa, Chocolate City, where Hannah Montana respawns, Blasian Central, Kanye Westwood, and San Diego. There were 3 tiers of admission: general admission, priority admission, and the VIP experience. Now, what were the prices of these coveted tickets in 2013 and 2014? To get basic general admission, which means no meet and greet, you just get to buy some merch and be huddled into the main room with other hormonal tweens, and get to see these kids pop, lock, and drop to Jason Derulo during his peak horn dog era. Attendees, or let's be real, their parents, had to fork over $20 to $25 for this. That's about $30 now. Premium admission, which consisted of seeing the main show, and, if there was time, a meet and greet, where you would get to breathe heavily on the boys while your parents took an awkward picture, was about $70 to $85, which is around $100 now. The VIP tickets, which included the main show, the meet and greet, and you get to hang out with the boys for an hour, get some merch signed, which included a MAGCON signature t-shirt, plus a general admission ticket for the next day, cost $175. That is $237 in today's money. They were selling 2,000 tickets per event at the peak of their popularity. Okay, so that's $2K for 8 shows at around $20 a pop, even without including any premium or VIP tickets, which I know at the very least hundreds were gobbling up. That is a minimum profit of $320K, which today would be $433,609. If my math is off, shut up. You can either be good at math or have great hair. That was the original tagline to the Barbie movie. If you ever went to one of these shows, please let me know. How much did you pay? And do you still have that meet and greet photo? Is it crusty? I have a theory that Nash Grier doesn't show up in photographs. So, what were these illustrious shows like? On that flight that you get on, international, first class seat on my lap, girl, red and comfortable. I am what the girls and want, New York to Taiwan. I got lipstick stamps on my passport. Da-da-na-na-na. Been around the world, don't speak the language, but your booty don't need explaining. All I really need to understand is when you Okay. I feel like a parent chaperoning my spawn. And no shade, but I'm looking at my kid different after this. You're telling me that I paid $20 to $175 to see a panda twerk? I don't even have room to talk. I made my dad take me to see Alvin and the Chipmunks 1 and 3, Shipwrecked, in theaters. When the Squeakquel came out, he was in Sudan. While the side was occurring, he wasn't involved. He did get malaria 4 times, and I still think that he would have rated those experiences higher than watching the films. Also, they were playing Talk Dirty in this clip, as you could tell from my phenomenal cover. The show is like primarily minors, but in the actual clip, the song is censored so randomly. Like, they can say, but they don't censor Punani. You know what? Let's watch arguably their most iconic performance. It's poppin'. What you know about me? What you know about me? What you know about me? What you know? You know my lip gloss is poppin'. My lip gloss is cool. Then it's darkened. Then chase me after school. What you know about me? What you know about me? What you know about me? What you know? They say my lip gloss is poppin'. My lip gloss is cool. Jana, they chase. Okay. Look, I am trying desperately to not be a hater. I am fighting the petty demon perched upon my shoulder with all my might. I always feel odd discussing topics like this because anything and everything that teen and tween girls like just gets dragged to infinity and back. And in many cases, undeservedly so. Since, what were teen boys into in 2013? Gamergate? Not exactly a dignified interest. If I see young girls enjoying themselves, I can't really get mad at that youthful joy. I'm no longer a criminal curmudgeonly Grinch. I might not like what it is that they're deriving their joy from, but I am genuinely glad that they're able to enjoy their childhood. And these boys are what, 15 to 19 years old? They're not live performers. They were just making goofy little videos on their phone. They were just simply seizing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I mean, they're getting paid to travel and just do a little jig on stage for some coin. I don't blame them for taking that gig. I would've. But let's be real. This isn't a show. When it comes to child in the industry, you can't half-ass it. The only way to get child excellence and showmanship is to go full Joe Jackson. I am not saying that it is ethical or should be replicated. All I am saying is that it is more effective. When the performers have normal childhoods, this is the kind of stage presence you get. That's the trade-off. At the end of the day, are they hurting anyone? Not really. I don't think that being kind of cringy is such a horrible transgression that it warranted the level of genuine vitriol that they received. Though, I will say that the parasocial relationship that these girls have developed with these boys is quite concerning, and I do think that it is unethical to deliberately play into that. It just comes off as, you know, a bit emotionally manipulative.
So they know that these girls' fantasies is that they imagine that they're in a relationship with these boys, and so when they do tweets or they post Snapchats, it's all in the singular. It's all, wow, you're beautiful, girl, or like, wow, can you be my girlfriend, instead of like, hey guys, I love all of my fans, they're all beautiful, because they know that they're pretending that they're in a relationship with just them.
Gosh, I miss Christine. If you remember this era, you will recall how polarizing this group was. You either loved them or loathed them. I never hated this group, per se. But I do remember watching their content and thinking, I'm a teenager who can't dance either. Where's my check? I was more bitter than anything. There was a lot of anger around them not deserving fame. I understand what people mean by this, but alright, here's my take. Fame, particularly online fame, is meaningless. Acclaim is earned. You can accidentally become famous. That is how random and unfair it is. If people wanted to watch their content on their own volition, then technically they did earn their fame. If they were getting people to buy tickets to see them, then technically they did earn that success. The quality of said content can be debated, sure. The message that this could send to young people, that online fame is aspirational and that all you need to do to attain it is just hone your appearance, is not a great one, but all the algorithm cares about is audience retention and engagement. Is it fair? Is it a merit-based system? No. It's never been the case, online or in Tinseltown. These boys did not create the system, so I'm not really gonna blame these teenagers for milking it and then dipping. Okay, back to our scheduled programming. The parent testimonies during these shows are interesting.
And so when I came here, I thought we were coming to like a normal kind of convention where everything would be subtle and just kind of a meet and greet. But what I encountered here is just an incredible amount of excitement.
Bart had a gun to this man's head. If you have ever been to one of these shows or seen clips of them, most of the performances are just them sort of awkwardly shuffling on stage. There isn't much organization or choreography. It's just them goofing. I mean, to be fair, the whole point of these shows is just to see them in the flesh, like a prophet. Now, if you were thinking, these shows and this company generally just seems to be haphazardly throwing things together, you'd be correct. If you want an example of the lack of planning involved in this fiasco, this promo video on their main channel is over 6 minutes long. The actual video ends at 3 minutes and 56 seconds. It is just a black screen for 2 minutes straight. The official channel also has these update videos with Bart and the boys that sometimes have the vibe of a parent forcing their child to talk to a distant family member on the phone. A lot of the fan content around this time is so delicious. Your type? My type. I'm certain that a lot of the now adult fans of these kids can probably look back with some fondness, but also, come on now, this is just funny. So why did they break up? After hours of research and poring over the data, the reason behind the breakup of the boy not so band is contract disputes. Yeah, it seems that some of the boys, Matthew Espinosa in particular, were like, hold on, let's do the math real quick. Y'all are making this much money off our backs. Why are we getting paid diddly squat?
MAGCON, in the beginning, we didn't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like we were getting paid a certain amount that we were like, this is dope money because we're 15, 16, 17, 18. We were like, I don't know. I'm just blessed to be here. Like, we're not thinking about where we're getting paid. And then we start doing the math on ticket sales. We start doing the math on all these things. I have other people like, yo, bro, like, you know they sold 4,000 at $250, right? Like, do the math. Like, all these types of numbers are now jumping in our heads, and we're like, okay. So there was like a big moment actually where I grabbed all the guys and we like are knocking on Bart's door.
Taylor Caniff, who was one of the OG members of MAGCON and did come back for MAGCON 2.0, which Mama's gonna dive into that, don't worry, did speak on this issue.
You know, whatever you're comfortable saying about it, what's going on with MAGCON? Because obviously we know, we don't need to touch on like the separation, but I know for a while you're gonna...
I don't care. So basically, what's going on is we had some intercations with the dude who owned it, and we all said, nah. We were getting promised stuff that, you know, just wasn't happening, and, you know, it just... And if they call it a family, it's got to be an actual family. I mean, you can't keep stuff from other people. So basically what it was, just people not being honest with us, and no one likes that.
I don't know how reliable a source he is, and you'll see why I think his character is a bit questionable later. This comment under the video amused me. He's so random. He's holding tape. I love him. When I was initially doing research on Bart, so cyber stalking basically, these are public profiles and I'm basically a journalist, so this is ethical. I would see these shady comments on all his innocuous posts. My woman crush Wednesday is a throwback Thursday to when I was blessed to be on set while Shawn Mendes was filming. Lol, frick you, Bart. MAGCON is shit now. The originals are always bae.
Eugene Krabs.
Bart wants money. Bart loves money. Money. My spring flowers are starting to bloom. How much money did you steal from us to pay for this house? Girl, this was posted in April of 2013. This was before MAGCON was even a thing. And I was initially confused. But it turns out that once the fans found out that Bart was allegedly stealing money from the boys, or at least not compensating them properly, they went off. I don't really know what exactly went on behind the scenes, but RIP to his comment section. What's crazy is that MAGCON 1.0 didn't even last a year. It ran from early fall of 2013 to spring of 2014. You could have gotten knocked up and still be pregnant by the time that MAGCON broke up. Fans were devastated. I mean, I assume. Concerning hashtags trended, but much like a similar one inspired by Justin Bieber. Thankfully, there really weren't that many people who were actually injuring themselves in an odd attempt to try and get MAGCON back together. It was mostly fans urging other fans to not engage in that kind of behavior. It's not what the boys would have wanted. No one really gave that much tea, but I don't know, maybe there's some NDAs that they can't violate. But Cameron Dallas did purchase the company and the name MAGCON after this incident, and he took on a more dominant role in the company. Fast forward to 2015. Cameron wants to get the gang back together. He's tweeting up a storm, adding the boys. Carter Reynolds joins in. I will never let MAGCON rest in the past. No shade, but I don't think he was that busy. He wants a reunion, so does Taylor Caniff, but Nash is like, I don't want to do all that. The name limits us. Most of us want something bigger than that. We don't want to be part of a meet and greet convention. Cameron responds, baby, it's not gonna be like last time. They can't admit it. Give them time. I say you guys show some of the guys how much you all really miss at MAGCON Tour. It's not their fault though. It's other people in their ear. God will show them the real from the fake. He said, why are you listening to your homegirls? They can't even keep a man. They're haters. Okay, this comparison doesn't even make sense anymore. That just turned into a recreation of that cheating song from R. Kelly. Hayley Grier goes, I'm booked and busy, sir. I mean, I want to meet the fans, but I don't know. The OG MAGCON was kind of ratchet. He didn't say that exactly, but you can read the tweets. Cameron sees this and claps back. He goes, oh, really, Nash Jr.? Because a little while back, did you not want to own part of MAGCON and shaft the other members? That's why you want to own the tour with just Nash and me and just pay the other guys a little fee. Now Matthew Espinosa jumps in the ring. Bruh. All you literally did was just buy the name MAGCON, which is why you want us to do it again. Why am I hearing about this on Twitter? 2 months later, in August of 2015, Cameron tweets, tour coming soon, hopefully November. Now he deletes this. Matter of fact, most of these tweets have been deleted, but thank you to the screenshooters of the world out there for making sure these were archived. So Cameron is going full speed ahead when it comes to MAGCON 2.0, and when he posts a photo of him working on the lineup, Matthew leaves the comment, take me off the board. Now, despite the accusations hurled against this man, Bart is still officially part of MAGCON and doing managerial duties. I mean, this was still his baby. Plus, he had what I can only really describe as an odd amount of confidence in this venture. Like, he thought that MAGCON was on their way to being like One Direction. That's a quote. I mean, he was correct in the sense that they broke up, but God gifted us with a delicious little goodie basket. Because in 2016, MAGCON went on tour again. And thankfully, Netflix documented the whole thing in the series Chasing Cameron, and I watched all 10 episodes. I thought it was gonna be like an hour-long documentary film. I was wrong. So I'm gonna go over the whole series, because it was more interesting than I expected, and some tea was spilled. But if y'all really don't care and you just want to skip over to the Where Are They Now portion, skip to this. Episode 1. The title sequence of this series includes footage of Cameron aggressively twerking, with the technique and fervor of a dog attempting to mate with a pillow. I think that he is over 18 in this footage, so I'm not going to end up on a watch list for looking at this, but it was so unexpected that it floored me. I was laughing so hard that I had to pause the video and then just skip the intro for every episode. I had nearly forgotten the white boy twerking epidemic of the 2010s. I can't believe that the guy in the center of this video with his nips exposed, assaulting the air alongside his amigos, is now a Christian family vlogger. Actually, yes, I can. We are given a glimpse into the sheer amount of power and influence that these little nuggets have. The series opens up with Cameron Dallas talking about a time in 2015 where he tweeted out that he was walking a Calvin Klein show in Milan, and so many fans showed up underneath his balcony that he shut down the street that was adjacent to the hotel. This is like Michael Jackson levels of adoration. But Cameron did not dangle a baby off the balcony, because he's not a real showman like Mikael. Apparently, Cameron had started out as an amateur model on IG, and he was going hard with the lighting and the posing, but he pivoted into making more humorous content because he didn't want to be typecast. As someone who is gorgeous and also hilarious, I too know what it's like to have people pigeonhole you. Bart, the manager slash handsome Frankenstein's monster, hits up Cameron after he had hosted a successful meet and greet in New York. Bing bong! Similar to how he first noticed Aaron Carpenter. So he added Cameron to his white boy roster, or as Doja Cat calls it, her dating history. Don't you also date white boys? This isn't about me. We are introduced to Aaron Carpenter. The second that I saw the innocence in his eyes, I felt bad for this kid. That light is going to be violently extinguished by the harsh realities of the industry in a few years. The tonal whiplash in this episode is crazy. They go from Aaron playing around in Cameron's apartment, checking to see if the milk in the fridge is rotted, tee-hee, cut to a second later where he is talking with tears in his eyes about how his stepbrother and his stepfather passed away recently within a year of each other. Ease into it. Cameron loses his phone. You would have thought he lost his insulin or something. Okay, to be fair, when you are an influencer, losing your phone is the equivalent of losing a limb. It turns out it was in his cereal. So that was staged. Taylor Caniff is introduced, and he's the bad boy of the group. Or, like what a sheltered girl from the suburbs would think a bad boy is, because he puts his middle finger up in pictures and wears bandanas. He is a Sinaloa cartel member to these girls. In his introduction, there is a clip of him aggressively shaking his cheeks in what I assume is his cluttered room back in the Midwest. It was more of like a Tookus seizure than a twerk. Can these producers stop assaulting my eyes with these teen cheeks? I'm a victim. The tonal whiplash makes a comeback because the episode goes from, I'm Taylor Caniff, I like fast cars, hot chicks, and scaring the elderly, to seconds later. Yeah, like my mom's in jail and, she was like barely around for my childhood, and, my dad worked full time, so he wasn't really there either, and my grandparents were the ones who really raised me. It just sucks because, I just wish I could share my success with my mom. Jeez Louise. So the financial shenanigans are hinted at early on, because Cameron admits that for the first 6 months of the OG run of MAGCON, he made no money. He was just doing it for promotion. Rookie mistake. But, he was only, 18 and didn't really understand the business. The manager is hella shady for not including financial compensation for these people. Competitors from other tours assumedly got into Cameron's ear and convinced him that Bart was scamming him. And, a lot of the other boys basically got the same treatment. And to be fair, weren't they kinda right? Allegedly, it might not have been illegal, technically, but still. Bart says that when he first met Cameron, he could tell that he needed a strong father figure in his life, which will begin his I want to be a daddy figure to these young boys arc. Which, okay, I don't think that protective instinct is bad in theory, but if you really did care about them that much, wouldn't you have ensured that they were compensated properly? Also, there is a conversation to be had about an adult sort of trying to develop an emotional connection with a child due to a trauma that is the byproduct of parental absence. I'm not gonna say that Bart was doing this Machiavellian attempt at embedding himself emotionally in these boys' psyche, but it is odd, admittedly. Maybe there's more to these contract disputes than they are letting on. I don't know. So after the fallout in 2014, Mr. Dallas went back to the MAGCON execs, who I just assume are two middle-aged divorced men in ranch-stained Led Zeppelin merch, and said, give the company over to me. I'm gonna bring the boys back, and this time, we're all gonna have equity. The only OG members that came back to this tour were Aaron, Taylor, and Cameron. The fresh meat consisted of Blake Gray, Willie Jones, and Trey Schaefer. And technically Carter Reynolds, who was demoted to, like, I think a special guest, but he only came back for one show. He was kicked off the tour, or as he would put it, quit. But I only found that out because I was snooping. It's not mentioned in this doc. Before the first show, Cameron and Carter tearfully embrace in the bathroom. Carter says that he misses the boys, they're like family to him, and he's been going through it. I'm pretty sure this was due to a recent, well, at the time recent, 2015 pre-hashtag #MeToo scandal, in which a video resurfaced of Carter coercing his then underage girlfriend into performing an act. Let's just say. The girlfriend was Maggie Lindman. You may remember her. At the time, she was an up-and-coming singer. / very pretty girl that people would put on their face inspiration boards. How one would aspire to have different bone structures beyond me. Cameron is pretty heartbroken over the OG MAGCON not being a thing anymore. Like, he really loved these boys. He cries a little. It's sad. The first stop on the international tour is London. Throughout the series, there will be tweets that the boys have sent out that correspond to whatever is going on. They'll flash on screen, accompanied by that iconic but nerve-inducing tweet noise. When they land in London, Cameron tweets out, "In love with international places." I don't know why that was so funny to me. That sounds like such an American beauty pageant contestant answer.
If I had to name something that I loved, it would be international places.
Cameron's MO is make the fans happy. Barry Bezos, the customer is king, which just translates to doing a lot of fan service and taking a bunch of photos with them. So the boys are tap dancing for these English fans. After the first gig, Taylor is angry because he hasn't been given his per diem, which if you're not in the business, like me, means you're spending money. Apparently, he berated an assistant to the point where she threatened to quit. When Bart confronts Taylor, he is standing in his doorway, shrouded in darkness like a sleep paralysis demon. The tour manager rips into Taylor. He's like, "You little punk, you think you could yell at some poor girl over a frickin' per diem?" I was hoping they would throw hands, but sadly they didn't. Episode 2. We open with a shot of Cameron bleeding. Assault. Yay. Cut to a few days prior. They're doing shows in Birmingham, and they always pray before their performance, which is sweet, but the show is just them jumping around. It never fails to make me laugh when artists will do a group prayer before the show, and then they get on stage and just coochie pop. I don't think God is blessing that performance. Aaron's mother, who is kind of the mom of the group, talks about how she cries every time she sees her son on stage, and it's very sweet. She's a very wholesome woman. But then it immediately cuts to a shot of Aaron whipping. I cannot tell if the producers are deliberately trying to be shady. It reminded me of that clip of Kim K.
What are those? These are clothes. What are those? These are clothes.
I'm so proud at how confident she is.
I can't blame her though, because when I have a kid, God willing, I'm gonna be hyping them up. They're gonna be delusional, which, I mean, that was a guarantee because it's hereditary at this point. There is drama because production sent out an email telling people to show up at 10 a.m. instead of 1 p.m. when the show starts at 1 p.m. So these English folk have been brewing in the sun for hours. They're not built for that. They're built for waving at ships as they leave the harbor. Willie Jones takes the stage. He's a country singer, also from Louisiana, just like Brittany and Addison Rae. My boy has a voice like molasses. He's definitely the most musically talented. Aaron talks about planning on moving to LA to start doing music, and it really is like hearing Sharon Tate say, "Yeah, I just met this guy. His name is Roman. He like directs or something." It's not gonna end well. Taylor finally gets his per diem, and he jokes, I hope, that he's gonna purchase some exotic dancers now. Now at this point, they're in Manchester. Manchester exotic dancer is a terrifying string of words. They crunch the numbers, and these boys are are taking thousands of photos a day, and you can tell it is sucking the life out of them. I mean, it ain't working in a coal mine, but even I would be contemplating violence after photo 10,000. Remember how I mentioned the concerning parasocial relationship that the fans were developing with these boys? Well, Cameron starts talking about how fans will drop heavy stuff on him during the meet and greet. For example, a girl confessed to him that she had been clean from herself for a year and a half because of him. There are girls who will message them and thank them for saving their lives, saying that they're the only reason that they smile during the day. And you can tell that these boys are really taken aback by how much of an impact they have on these girls. I mean, they are teenagers. Well, most of them. How are you meant to respond to a revelation like that? Bart continues his pseudo father figure role, saying that Cameron is basically like a son to him, especially because Cameron's dad wasn't actually around that much. They traveled to Germany via tour bus. The lack of a per diem becomes an issue again. Taylor has, as Cameron would dub them, another illogical hissy fit. Now, to be fair, I don't even know if there actually is an issue with the proper allocation of funds, and the producers are just trying to paint Taylor as more of a nuisance than he actually is, or if he really is acting out of pocket. Honestly, it could be both. They go clubbing in Cologne. I mean, it's not Berlin, but I mean, it's still Germany. Getting crunk is part of the culture. All I remember about Cologne was that mass groping incident, which I mean, MAGCON was not a part of, I think. This is where things get violent. Cameron gets into a tussle because there's a German broad who allegedly started something, but then allegedly flips the script and tells the guys that she's with that Aeropostale over here was pushing her around. It is World War II electric boogaloo in that club. Taylor comes in swinging because he sees that his amigos are in trouble. Plus, I think that he just wanted a story about kicking some kraut butt that would rival his grandfather's. Taylor says, "This ain't a nice place, you know?" Okay. It's Cologne, Germany. Aren't you from the backwoods of Indiana? Mogadishu in the 90s was more scenic than your hometown. The cherry on top is that during this confessional, he is dressed like Huckleberry Finn. For some reason, he confesses that during the brawl, he pooped himself. You should have just taken that to the grave. Despite the stitches that Cameron has to receive, the injured boys are good to go. However, the following day, the show in Cologne gets canceled because the tour manager was too tired. From what exactly? Doing E in the club? Why are middle-aged people even partying? Just take a sad swig from your flask in your hotel room as you tearfully look at photos of you and your ex-spouse. Like a normal 45-year-old on the road. The German girls are devastated. That was a terrible German accent. One of the boys, Colby, comments on how odd the relationship dynamic is between the boys and Cameron because he's their friend but also he's technically their boss. A few of the fans managed to run into Cameron in the lobby of the hotel and they're crying, talking about how happy he makes them. Once again, it is quite jarring to see how much of an emotional hold he has on these girls. Cameron gets pissed at Bart because he's not doing his job. He says, "Why am I the one running these meetings and doing everything? You are the manager / CEO. I pay you." I'm on Cameron's side. To add insult to injury, Cameron does not see Bart as a father figure. He says,
"You're not my dad! You also hear something ugly."
"You're an employee." Episode 3. Finally, they have more proper food options on the bus. Somebody threw some deli meat in their trough. Taylor is content. The crowd at the Berlin show is dead. Again, I'm sorry for leaning so heavily on stereotypes, but I know Germans are not known for being joyful, but don't y'all like to get crunk? And I mean, this is in Berlin of all places. I say that the children living in the city are somehow on par with the leather-clad individuals going to EDM clubs. But still, alright, this is still Berlin, not Frankfurt. They managed to get the crowd a little bit more turnt, but that's just because Cameron took out an Uzi and shouted, "If you schnitzel gobblers do not get turnt, I'm turning your bodies into Swiss cheese." Okay, that was the last lazy, stereotypical joke. Y'all know I'm lying. Cut to Cameron and Bart sitting at the hotel breakfast the next morning, and sandpaper is not as dry as the conversation that they were having. They sound like a couple about to get a divorce. Apparently, the other boys, Taylor, I'm assuming, were throwing around food in the kitchen, not cleaning it up. You can hear one of the other tour managers off screen who was at the end of his rope with these boys acting like toddlers. You can hear his mic and he's saying, "I'm sick and tired of this Yankee nonsense. I'm gonna go back to managing Right Said Fred." They have no per diem again, so Taylor, being a street kid, got some of the girls to sell his bandanas, collected the guap, and then split it with the boys. The girl from Cologne who Cameron met in the hotel lobby started a hashtag urging MAGCON to come back, and Cameron pinky promised that he would return to the city and do a show, and he does. Paris. So there's no showers in the Paris venue. Are there usually showers in performance venues? Don't y'all have a hotel? This pisses Cameron off though. I don't think that he likes swearing on camera because he says, oh, my hair is fudged up. Turn those cameras off. He's gonna turn into Samuel L. Jackson. You never get to see much of the show. I mean, I'm assuming because they want people to actually pay money to get to see it. But you can tell that it's mostly just them kind of dancing on stage. It doesn't seem that much more choreographed than the 2013 shows. I was not exactly expecting like Janet Jackson levels of prep, but come on, boys, give me something. Not even a two-step? Fans in the crowd are getting squished because there are not barricades that aren't separating sections of the crowd. It gets bad. Not Travis Scott concert levels of horror and mismanagement, but these tiny girls are just getting scooped up by these giant security guards. It looks like a scene from Transformers. Ambulances get called. Hearing these French sirens just makes me think of Princess Diana. R.I.P. Cool. So they bring out Trey, who is a very pretty person. He kind of resembles Bella Hadid when she was on Nose Number 2. His music is like an opioid. It just calms everyone down. They finally bring in some barricades so the show doesn't get shut down. The tour management quits because they're pissed off that nobody stopped the show, which means the bus driver, security, and tech crew all go with them. Tech crew is petty too, because they take their equipment before the show even ends. Bart doesn't know the bus routes. He doesn't even know what their immigration status is. It's a mess. This alternate version of An American in Paris is a bummer. The choreography is worse too. Episode 4. Cameron and one of their photographers, Derek, are goofing around on the bus. Derek loses a bet, and his punishment is that he has to shove a spoon up his tuchus. I like to imagine that they were driving through the scenic Swiss Alps when this occurred. Aaron's mom is on the bus, rubbing her son's toesy woesies. Their dynamic is very sweet. Like, Aaron and his mother are very miskin, which is Amharic for innocent, to the point where you feel kind of protective over them. Taylor goes to the dentist because his tooth hurty. I think this was because of an injury that was sustained during Die Nacht der Scheiße in Cologne. Taylor has got to stop feeding these producers juicy little morsels of cringe, cause he goes, yeah, my followers like my looks, you know, so I gotta keep that up. Producers are shady by nature. It's a prerequisite to thriving in that position. You gotta stop making it easy for them to clown you. They arrive in Milan. The fans are screaming in Italian, Cameron, bruschetta. Cameron has got a fitting for Dolce. If I was him, I would be talking real loud getting off that bus. Yeah, I'll be at the Dolce fitting in 10 minutes for Dolce with Dolce. Okay, ciao. Sorry, that was Dolce. What's gonna be the highlight of your guys' day? Continuing your snap streak? While you guys are editing the zits out of your Insta pics, I will be getting groped by tiny Italians with measuring tape while they talk crap about me. In Inglés, por favor. Am I right? Okay, ciao. I'm glad I wasn't famous at 17. There's a mall in Milan that they hit up. It's very European. It has a fountain. They get swarmed by fans. They can't explore the city on their day off because they have no security. I mean, just take a taser or a machete. And if those fangirls get too close, what? It's fine. They have free healthcare. Cameron is over it. He doesn't even know how long social media relevancy can last. He has a whole existential crisis, and then he just goes AWOL. During the show, Aaron performs his song She Know What She Doin'. She know what she doin', yeah, when she moved to the music like that. I was about to say that the song was clearly written by someone who had never really partied or even been super intimate with someone. I mean, he's, what, 17? I'd hope not. But I don't think he wrote it. His mom expresses concern over how healthy it is to even have her child get involved in show business. See, this is why you crush your children's dreams when they're still a single-digit age. Real parental success is your 9-year-old accepting that they will be an accountant with IBS. On account of the, arguably the star attraction of the show being MIA, Bart addresses the audience. The crazy thing is that there is a translator, but because Bart is in Italy, he unconsciously starts speaking in just broken English. Yes, please, pray for Cameron. He is a Sikh. Episode 5. We're still in Milan. Cameron's anxiety is through the roof. He has a full-blown panic attack. One of the fans finds out about this and she starts weeping, saying it's our fault that he's so stressed out, which kinda. The meet and greets are really the meat and potatoes of these tours. Like, that's the main point, is to just see them in the flesh and think, how can they all be 5'6"? According to Cam, the experience is also very physically draining because the fans will just jump on him because they want to get a coveted, oh my gosh, he's carrying me pic. And by girl number 300, you gotta start tapping out. They're also weeping and like whispering secrets to them. I mean, at least that's what I would do. Actually, if I was ever like an A-list celebrity meeting my fans, I would pull a Demi Lovato copy pasta. So when my fans tearfully tell me that I saved their life, I'd whisper, "You'll die soon enough, fatty." What? Obesity. There is no AC in this venue. So after Taylor gets crunk on stage, he nearly passes out backstage. No one but Derek, the spoon butt guy, cares. Now, a lot of his exhaustion is because Taylor is truly running around on stage like he's testing out his sneakers at Payless, while Cameron is like taking selfies with the crowd. He's not sweating. They sneak a girl on the tour bus. Cameron says that it was because he was tired of that vehicle being a sausage fest, and he claims that they didn't do anything, all they did was talk. She's 19 years old. They talked to her mom, and apparently the mom gave her permission to go onto the bus. I don't know what this parent is thinking. That quiff could have been the last thing your daughter saw, ma'am. I mean, that girl was really living a fanfic fantasy, though. Derek goes off on them, saying, "Y'all are so dumb. She could have been on social media talking up a storm about y'all." The Milan show was the last stop on the European leg of the tour, so they all head back to the States, except Willie. He misses his flight because he overslept. He gets no calls, no checkups from anyone, not even Bart, who is the manager, making sure that he got home safe. So he has to pay out of pocket for another ticket. The idea of having to drop like $3K for a last-minute ticket actually makes my blood boil. So the boys have a legally mandated break before the Australian leg of the tour. Willie's dad is not happy. He wonders why Bart didn't even bother to check to see if Willie was sick or heck dead. I mean, sure, Willie shouldn't have overslept, but also it's your job to make sure they're okay. Willie sings a little bit in his house, and again, this boy really can sing. It is very, I'm a sad man with a guitar, and I got my heart broken by a brown-eyed girl. Y'all should check out his music, though. Taylor says that he hasn't gotten his equity check, or gotten paid, period, and it's been about 2 weeks. As someone who has waited over 6 months for payment for a sponsorship, 2 weeks is really not that abnormal. Since half the lineup lives in Louisiana, they get together for dinner at the city's most extravagant restaurant, Outback Steakhouse. Apparently, Willie has been late and missed flights before. Dang it, Willie.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Though Bart does apologize to Willie's dad, off camera. Cameron is back in Milan briefly for a Calvin Klein fashion show. He is walking the runway while the other boys fart into their futons. Life really is cruel. Episode 6. You get to see Cameron's childhood home. It's in the non-LA or San Francisco part of Cali. Oh, I love seeing people's family homes, how they live, their family photos. It's delicious. Their dog, Jakey Bakey, has diabetes and shot out knees. He looks like a sad dollop of tapioca pudding. He walks all wonky too. Poor baby. Look, I like animals. I love me like a little bunny or something fuzzy. But this is probably a cultural thing. When Americans let their dogs lick their face, the dog has his own Instagram account that has more followers than most. I mean, not more followers than me, but I mean, maybe if you posted some quality content, your numbers would also be up. My life is so empty. Cameron's best friend is Mormon, and he went on his 2-year mission right as Cameron had his big break. So during a 2013 YouTube video, the boy starts breaking down on camera, talking about how much he's gonna miss Chris and just crying. It is kind of refreshing to see these young men be really open about how much they love and appreciate their friends. And I'm not like a mushy-gushy person, so I can only handle sincerity in small doses. Taylor says that after the last MAGCON tour, he was owed $56K and he did not get paid. Nobody did. And then the OG MAGCON just ended. Trey is under Taylor's management. They were friends from back home in Indiana. So Trey did the Europe tour for free. I'm assuming it was just for like exposure. He also lives with Taylor for free. Cameron goes house hunting, and after checking out some truly grotesque modern architecture, he says, you know what, let me actually wait until I get my guap up, and then I can actually just buy a nice house. Taylor, on the other hand, has a 7-bedroom house in the hills. He has fancy cars, again, assumedly rented. Seeing him talk about his property, it's like hearing somebody brag about owning a bunch of stock in Enron in the 90s. It's like actually making me angry. Sadly, Jakey Bakey's health problems get worse, and so he has to be put down. So they gather at Cameron's childhood home, and they let the dog eat whatever he wants. They take him outside in the grass, and he gets a shot. Needle, not tequila. And he dies peacefully. They make an impression of his little paw. It's quite sad. R.I.P. Jakey Bakey. Episode 7. Taylor has lost himself. In his own words, he is drinking and doing prescription medication for his anxiety. He's live streaming, which is the most concerning part. Taylor is not going to be on the Australian leg of the tour, and he tells Bart to not bring Trey, aka Bella Hadid. Trey, understandably, goes, what the heck? Why would you kneecap me like that? This boy was valedictorian at their old high school. Yeah, in rural Indiana. Still, he gave up scholarships to pursue his musical career. And oh my gosh, there's so many lines in this documentary that just make me cringe when I hear them. Hearing I gave up scholarships to move to LA is like hearing about someone who scored a ticket for the Titanic. So the boys arrive in Australia. Cameron is about to have another panic attack in Perth. Now, I can understand that meeting hundreds, if not thousands of fans a day can be very exhausting, but there is a sequence where the producers show a bunch of fans jumping on him and crying in front of him, and the edit resembles like a PTSD flashback. These meet and greets were his nom. They have a new tour manager. Bart is back home doing his job in Brisbane. They go to the zoo and cuddle with koalas. They pose with the beasts of that landmass like emus and kangaroos, who are disturbingly jacked in real life. A cuckoo, or parrot, with a sick mohawk starts screaming and thrashing back and forth in its cage at them. They scream back because they have no respect for nature. And then the bird goes, bye-bye. I hope that creature escapes. Episode 8. Bart is back in La La Land interviewing choreographers. I guess he finally realized that if these boys can't do that multi-arm Thai dance move, then they're not real performers. Bart meets with this new kid who might be one of the fresher crop of talent, because the older boys are aging out of the tween demographic. I understand that he has to obviously appeal to a specific market, but at this point, MAGCON 3.0 is just going to be a dozen fetuses in utero doing the cat daddy. And the boy he's meeting with, no shade, he seems like a little sweetie pie, still has his umbilical cord attached. He is 15, apparently, but he looks and sounds like he's 11. Bart naturally asks this kid about his dad, and the poor kid's like, yeah, I haven't seen him in like 3 years. Bart's like, dang. So the role is vacant. So we are introduced to the fresh crop of MAGCON replacements. I mean, rookies. Inheritors? Welcome to the short-lived stage. Joey Burlam, Brandon Rowland, and Hunter Rowland. The last two might be brothers. You really forget how little teenagers actually are, because they're all 15 to 14, but they look so young, so fresh. All that collagen. I am glad that I'm not an A-lister, because comments like that would undoubtedly get me featured in a QAnon forum. The greatest honor. That's when you know you've made it. They all apparently have like millions of followers. I never heard or seen these kids before, which, to be fair, is just how the internet is. There is something eerie about knowing that none of these boys are going to have a career in 5 years. It's almost haunting. Cameron gets a deep tissue massage, and he flashes his tan cheeks at us. I did not expect that. The Australian tour manager asks, why is the meet and greet running at the same time as the show? Everything is so disjointed. I mean, shouldn't there be a designated time for both? So that way all the fans can watch the show and still have the ability to jump on these boys' backs and break their spines. I think that was more Kiwi than anything, but I'm not re-recording that. Also, I don't even think she was Australian. Anyway, Cameron covers his face with his black and white bandana in Melbourne. I thought he was gonna have a Joker moment. I got excited, but it turns out he just had a cold sore. Apparently it was brought on by Aaron and him sharing a razor. Cameron doesn't want to give any of these girls a cold sore when he smooches them on the cheek during the meet and greet or whatever, so he just covers his mouth. He is giving like domestic but the kind whose kill count isn't high enough to stay in the news cycle for that long. Like, he'll get a Dateline episode, but not a documentary. They change up the format of the show so that they have the meet and greet first and then the show. Episode 9. Taylor and some of the other boys want out of their contract. Cameron says, "We don't need you roaches." Now, he was just brewing in frustration over the boys wanting to dip. And when he leaves his apartment, he bumps into these 2 fans that are outside, and he has got no time for them, but of course, he's like, okay, I'll still take a selfie with you guys. One of the girls looks at the selfie they just took and goes, "It's ugly." Girl, if you don't get out of my face. Joey, one of the fetuses, says that he's been doing social media for only 8 months. Plus, he says that Cameron is like a father figure to him, and it's because he doesn't have that close of a relationship with his own father. Y'all noticing a trend here? Is making cutesy online content a manifestation of fatherless behavior? A video resurfaces of Bart talking to the fans about Taylor being flaky and that he's problematique. Taylor is just running his mouth all over social media. Cameron is taking it upon himself to mentor these new MAGCON kids, which apparently consists of them taking photos on the beach. Blake Gray accompanies them, and I legit completely forgot whether or not he was even in this tour or not. I honestly legit just saw his name and his face, and it just blended in together with everybody else that they had introduced. Apparently, his rise to fame was on account of one of those "Don't Judge Me" challenge videos. You remember that plague from 2015, where people who were obviously conventionally attractive would like ugly themselves up, but then they'd cover the camera, and then, oh my gosh, reveal, I was gorgeous the whole time. And the whole point of it is like, you're judging me because you think I'm like ugly and a nerd. As someone who was crusty for most of my adolescence, I am sick and tired of attractive people appropriating ugly culture. We are not a costume. Taylor is still talking mad crap about MAGCON. He wants out of his contract. Bella Hadid is looking around and getting pressed because he realizes Taylor isn't even helping him with anything out here in LA. He asks, why would you make someone sign a 5-year manager contract if you're not going to be their champion? This series really is a masterclass in what to avoid in show business. Cameron is nominated for a Teen Choice Award, so is Taylor. He's up for Choice Snapchatter? What kind of accolade is that? Taylor's manager doesn't even give him any details as to where he needs to be dropped off at the event. He's just like, it's in LA, figure it out. They really have some great people working for them. Fetus was technically not invited, but Cameron does get him onto the red carpet. But then when it's time to go inside, he just abandons the kid. Cameron is like posing while Babyface over here has to Charlie Brown walk back to Cameron's apartment. I can't imagine that would help his underlying abandonment issues. Fetus says, "Bet I'm gonna mess your bed up, Cameron," but like very cheekily. I would have taken a life insurance policy out on the guy. Cameron wins Social Media King. His competition was The Rock, Jaquavius Bieber, Zayn Malik, and Kanye. This was pre-off the meds Kanye, so he hadn't reached his full power level yet. Choice Teen Web Stars is his second nomination, but he loses to the Dolan twins, who I think actually just merged into one man and then walked into the woods a few years ago, which is a better fate than most teens who become famous online. Episode 10. Cameron is at the Variety Power of Young Hollywood photo shoot. He is dressed like a toy soldier. The difference between what he's booking compared to the other boys is crazy. They were probably slurping up Go-Gurts while he was posing. Cameron works with this charity that helps foster kids. The charity provides these kids with custom duffel bags because apparently when foster kids move from house to house, they're given a trash bag to put all of their belongings in. So the charity that he collabs with will give them duffel bags that have like toys and coloring books, etc. in them. I'd throw in a taser. All of the homeboys go on a vacay to Santa Monica and they go to this ranch, and the owner of the ranch is not playing around, and he's like, look, there's not enough horsies for all of you to go riding at the same time, so I gotta be like Moses and part y'all into 2. Taylor doesn't want to wait for his turn, so he goes back to the hotel. This is just annoying me at this point. They're riding horses on the beach, like the cover of a romance novel. Not a good one either. If I was one of these horses, I would gallop directly into the sea with one of these bougie fricks strapped to my back. The next day they paraglide. Taylor's back for this one. I like the idea of paragliding, because I for one would love to crop dust Santa Monica. Colby is actually an old friend of Taylor's, and he always wants to be by his friend's side. He says, if Taylor had a girlfriend, she'd drive him crazy. Yeah, he he needs love, but he's got me. Huh? To be fair, the producers might have just been shady and just edited the clip to make it sound more sus than it actually was. My theory is that he just likes living rent-free in LA. Aaron's mom goes paragliding, and she's just so sweet and southern. She wants her baby to stay home, at least until he's 18 years old. Cameron and Taylor get a massage together, and while they're laying on their fronts, Cameron asks the masseuse, so like, how many people have you had fart? I mean, that's what I would ask. You see his little butt again, and he starts slapping it. The fangirls were eating good with this series, huh? Cam wants to mend things with Taylor, but Taylor's like, sorry, I gotta get back to making abysmal rap music. They talk to Bart and settle some stuff, but at this point, I think Bart is just desperately trying to get all of them to stay on what is clearly a sinking ship. Cameron just throws MAGCON in Bart's lap like a hot potato. Actually, wait, no, potatoes have value. Like a hot turd. He just steps back from the business side. He's gonna be talent to some extent, but he's only down to do that if certain milestones for the business have been met by a certain period of time. Taylor leaves Santa Monica a day early. Colby tags along. The two gang up on Bella Hadid, saying that he's just in this business for the followers and the clout, as opposed to what? The deep and meaningful friendships that you make along the way? Trey says that Taylor is a manipulative little frick. I feel bad for this boy at this point. Bad contracts are the biggest killers in LA, besides untreated chlamydia. Cameron goes to the variety event. Amidst the glitz and the glamour and the flashing cameras, he quotes Andy Warhol. 15 minutes of fame? I'm gonna need more time. And that is what he got. 2 more years. After this fiasco, and even after the original MAGCON broke up, Bart had some fanfiction written about him by heartbroken and pissed off fangirls. Bart's revenge. 3 years ago, Bart Bordelon lost it all, but when he tries his best to get it all back, one family must figure out how to get out of his trap. Oop! I found his Facebook. It's odd that I can just see photos of his kids. Why do people still post them? It seems that Bart remembers these days very fondly. Sometimes he'll post about the tours, and it seems like he wants to get the band back together. It is kind of sad, I'm not gonna lie. So some of you might be wondering, so like, what are these people even doing now? Matter of fact, what were they even like again? And from whence did they come? I don't think that's the correct phrase. Who cares? We all know where this is going. On to part 2 of this colossal 61-page video. MAGCON, where are these ninjas now? Let's begin with the most dazzling one. Nash Grier. Hamilton Nash Grier, that is a feudal lord name if I've ever heard one, was born to Elizabeth and Chad Grier on December 28th, 1997. He took his first breath in Greensboro in the bougie Carolina. He's got 2 full-blooded siblings, an older brother named Will, who is
a pro athlete.
He apparently plays for the New England Patriots as the quarterback or one of the quarterbacks. I don't know diddly squat about sports, and who cares? No one watching this does either. And he has a younger brother named Benjamin Hayes, aka Hayes, who is also going to be mentioned later on in this video because he was also a smaller teen heartthrob of that era, literally and figuratively. His parents got divorced, and his father remarried a woman named Nyla, who, through either birth or mitosis, squeezed out a younger half-sister named Skylin. And if you are at all familiar with Nash's earlier content, she would get exploited for her cuteness. And I bet she never got a check either. Grier is probably best known for his dazzling blue eyes, those turquoise peepers. All I can see when I look into those orbs is my best friend's mother's initial reaction to seeing an image of him. Nash was attending Davidson Day School, which is a private school. Of course, he's not a peasant. When he started making vines in 2013. He initially started posting inside jokes, and some other kids at school took notice. They went, oh my gosh, you're kind of funny. His early vines consisted of what I like to call the relatable suburban child/teen combo deal. Aw, gee golly, school sure does suck. Don't you wish you drowned your siblings when they were younger? Man, can your parents just croak already? Just standard relatable scenarios. And again, like, sure, you can cringe a bit while watching this, but they're children. Like, what kind of content do you expect them to make? So let's just say that while watching these Vine compilations, I was not exactly expecting them to be reciting bits from Waiting for Godot. It was in mid-July of 2013 when Tiffany Samashko, who was an Arkansas high school student who had like 300k followers at the time. This is her now, by the way. Man, I know this girly has Miranda Lambert's entire discography on CD. This Southern Belle re-vined Nash's Thine Ain't Jesus Vine. This gave his Vine page a bump, and 2 weeks later he had 200k followers. I truly recommend reading the Charlotte Observer article on this, by the way, which is everything's gonna be linked down below. video. I always just find it so amusing when journalists have to sincerely ask Viners or people on Musical.ly about their creative process. So at this point, his career was taking off. Nash says that around this time, his family would be getting lunch after church. How quaint. And people would actually recognize him. He crossed paths with Cameron Dallas at some party. Bart assumedly realized that Grier was a valuable Infinity Stone to add to his gauntlet, so tacked him onto the MAGCON lineup that fall. Nash and the boys began collaborating on videos, blending and growing their respective fandoms. This is really when he tapped into his character work, let's just say. The classic teen boy puts anything and everything on his head to indicate that he is playing a woman, a staple on Vine, an ode to vaudeville, really. Nash also wasn't afraid to dip his toes into some problematique humor.
How Asians name their children.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
If you were a male creator from 2010 to 2015 who did not play a ratchet character, who was really just like a black caricature, did you even really exist online? After years of internet brain rot, I've become so desensitized. He would have to commit a full-blown hate crime on camera for me to even register it. But of course, they also played the basic white girl character. And then there's just the all things quirky category. And of course, twerking. So much twerking. More swinging of underage backsides than I've ever wanted to witness. His little sister would make a lot of guest appearances. She was really the star of his Vine channel. I hope she's thriving now. In November of 2013, he uploaded his first YouTube video, Wisdom Teeth. Cameron and him signed deals with Awesomeness TV. My boy was booked and busy, because by December of that year, he was also doing tours with Digitour. Oh my gosh, this lineup is a blast from the past. Hoodie Allen? The Janoskians? I haven't heard that name in years. Y'all remember that they made music as well as YouTube videos? Oh my gosh, I remember this song in particular. This makes me want to roll my eyes so far back in my skull that I see my medulla oblongata. I don't need a girl to worry about a thigh gap. I like that you don't give a crap about that. It's okay if you eat more than salad on a date, 'cause real girls eat cake. I can't stand this genre of music that I like to call emotionally manipulative teen pop. It's just this. Hi, cripplingly insecure fans. I'm beacon of non-threatening masculinity #2. Here to remind you that you might think that you're fat and ugly, but we think you're beautiful. I mean, we will only date rail-thin models in our personal lives. But fatty boom batties, I mean, real girls like you, can still buy our albums. Tee-hee. I'm gonna start doing in 5 years. Look, if you were a 12-year-old and you heard this song and it made you feel better about yourself, I'm glad for you. I am not trying to take that away from you. I just cannot stand focus group music, because I know what y'all are doing. Okay, tangent over. In January of 2014, he uploaded his first YouTube collab. It is so of its era. The copyright-free iMovie music. The fact that it's a challenge and collab video. I feel like I owe Tyler Oakley a royalty check just for saying that phrase out loud. It's giving me flashbacks. His other videos consisted of the classic 2012 to 2017 challenges, sketches, relatable humor, movie parodies. He'd feature his younger siblings Hayes and Skylin, and of course, more stuff with the MAGCON gang. He got signed to Legacy Talent and Entertainment, and they confirmed that during his peak, Grier was pocketing $25 to $100K to advertise brand products in his Vines. So if you saw Skittles or a Four Loko or a Smith & Wesson randomly in the hands of one of these boys, they were making a bag, or at least 90 to 80% of a bag, because management takes a cut. 2014 was truly a year of highs and lows for Nash. He reached 8.7 million followers on Vine, but this was also the year that the infamous shave incident took place. Or Nairgate, as I like to call it. The video in question was another collab featuring Cameron Dallas and JC Kalen of O2L fame, titled What Guys Look For in Girls.
What's up? I'm here with Cameron Dallas and JC Kalen and JC's dog Wishbone. Today we're gonna talk about
girls. Talk about girls.
Oh, the music!
So many girls these days don't do anything. They're just like glorified, like, I'm gonna date a rich guy.
Who's gonna tell him?
I like girls that can cuddle, like.
Oh, dude, girls that can cuddle.
Girls who can cuddle. Isn't that all of them? Sorry, girls with no arms.
Nothing in the rule book says we always have to text first.
There has to be a perfect balance because the chase is such a big part of it. Like, if you play hard to get, if you play too hard to get, then it's just like, oh, she didn't even like me. But if you play it easy, it's just like, oh, she's a
We like a challenge, but don't
find a balance.
Don't be too challenged.
Find a balance.
Okay. Okay, what do y'all want? This is just a whole lot of nothing. It is, I mean, obviously what you get when you ask a bunch of teenagers what they want in a partner. Plus, Nash is constantly looking at himself in the viewfinder. The modern pond of Narcissus. The random quirky and weird faces sprinkled throughout. My gosh, this is a relic of a bygone era. I might as well be watching a silent film.
I like a girl that is like really like classy, like really classy during the day, like with your friends. Like you can hang out with your friends, she'd be cool. But when you are alone, she can get like a little freaky. I love girls like that.
Aren't your fans like 10?
Wait.
Yo,
no. Hygiene.
Shave, brush your teeth, arm shave. This stuff when you have a little peach fuzz and like we're making out.
No, not even making out when the light's just like shining on. I can see.
Or arm hair, just wax, shave.
Yeah,
that's the worst. When there's hair, it's terrible.
No, don't do it.
But the natural look though.
The natural look is great, but
the London
the hair, take the hair off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't really care too much.
I really like hair.
Who? Well, okay. Boy, who were you dating? Robin Williams? It's just body hair. This encapsulates what a lot of men online, and I emphasize the online part, because well-adjusted people in healthy relationships are usually not yapping about dating on the internet. Mean when they say they like natural beauty. They mean beauty that looks natural. Something about this video just makes me queasy. Also, none of them had this laundry list of expectations, by the way. At this age, if you were hot enough, lived in LA, and were not completely insufferable, you could have dated them. The internet did not like this, especially because all of his, and frankly, all of their fans are young, impressionable girls.
Words cannot describe what you just did. What you just made hundreds of thousands of teenage girls feel like when you said that. You Miley Cyrus look.
This one Tumblr post still kills me. I bet he shaves her arms when she's asleep. But his past would come to haunt him once again. In early 2013, a few months before he really blew up on Vine, this is back when he had like 1,200 followers, he posted this doozy of a video.
Testing for HIV? It's not a gay thing.
Yes, it is!
Child of God.
You know, you really shouldn't say that.
Apparently the boys at his school saw this video and their response was, "Oh, that was so funny." Regarding the post, Grier commented,
I didn't know the meaning behind what I was saying when I made the video. I didn't know the people I was hurting.
Okay, how did you not know that was transgressive? A month later, his audience grew a bit and the comments on that specific video, which were still up, started getting really negative. He deleted all of his socials, claiming, "I knew I'd done something evil, but that little nibble, that little amuse-bouche of online fame was just too tasty." So he made another account that summer. This account being the one that really blew up. Now his career takes off. But a year later, on July 6th, Tyler Oakley reposts a copy of the video along with a tweet criticizing Nash. Now mind you, this is 2014 Tyler Oakley. This was, I mean, during his peak of influence, which means that every directioner and mid to low level talent theater kid in the continental United States saw this tweet. And I imagine there was already overlap in the two creators' fan bases anyway. He drops an apology tweet, and of course a classic Notes app one. The contrast in the response to this is sending me.
It makes me sad when he's sad.
That was only 3 months ago. You should kill yourself at this point. The incident prompted him to write a piece for the Huffington Post, where he responded to the homophobic accusations. He writes,
"It was the farthest thing from true. Many of my early vines and collaborations were with gay people."
Is he talking about Connor Franta? So apparently, in his high school,
social standards were tough. You were in or you were out. For most of my freshman year up until the spring, I was out. I didn't play any sports. I took AP classes with 10 kids in a class and lived a very excluded and lonely life.
What does that have to do with anything? Okay, he did actually apologize though. "I realize that I made a mistake. From the bottom of my heart, I am truly sorry to each and every person I have ever offended." Nash got nominated for Best Web Star at the 2014 Teen Choice Awards, but he did not win. So at this point, he had already split with MAGCON. Post-MAGCON era. Now Nash did what every young person with over 1 million followers used to do, and still technically does. He moved out to LA, baby. Along with Cameron Dallas. And I think they actually got evicted from their first apartment. That's really an American rite of passage. Like getting a DUI. Once he linked up with the Vine hive mind, like the frequently minstrel King Batch, the production quality of some of his videos went up. He got a little entrepreneurial. Along with some of his MAGCON bros, he released an app called Cash Dash, or at least, you know, he like promoted it. In October, he collaborated with Era Apostle and Bryant, releasing a clothing line called United 26. Listen, I ain't read Roman numerals in a minute, so if I'm wrong, keep your mouth shut. He was still collabing with his former MAGCON buddies on YouTube, though. Watching his videos is so odd because I have zero emotional investment in anyone featured. Honestly, if you were not a fan, these videos were just very mundane. I wish that they had abused their platform and just did something crazy. Like teach these girls how to build bombs or something. I'm just saying that the Dakota Access Pipeline protests would have been more successful if young people had this kind of knowledge. In 2015, he was still booked and busy. He had become the second most followed person on Vine. At his peak, he had 13 million followers on Instagram, 4.5 million on YouTube, 12.8 on Vine. Isn't it wonderful how these numbers mean nothing now? And again, MAGCON was not his last tour, because in 2015 he signed a 2-year deal with Digitour, which is basically just a social media tour and festival. And meet your favorite vloggers who are now in a deleted all of their social media and now live in the woods like a hermit, or are super religious. Those are the only 3 options for former social media stars. As part of the deal, he became creative director of the company and was going to produce, direct, and star in a bunch of original series for them. I don't know if any of these projects actually came to fruition. In that same year, he was granted the highest honor, being featured in a music video parody for YouTube auteur Bart Baker. The Taylor Swift blank space one, to be specific. He played her blue-eyed boyfriend. 2015 was also the same year that he began dating Taylor Giavasis. According to him, he saw her on Instagram first. He was lurking. He knew her friends, and then they linked up at a party.
I was in the studio.
That was the
making a hit song. Did I have a girlfriend when we met?
Yeah.
He was named one of the top 30 most influential people on the internet by Time. He directed his first music video for musician Bera's I Look Good on You, where he cameoed as a trumpet player alongside MAGCON alumni. I'll say this, albinoism is chic. The song is kind of a jam, but then again I had the music taste of a divorced father, somehow mixed with a 19-year-old NYU student who does Molly a little bit too much. But don't get it twisted, because he was also
full-on you know, Africans, dyslexics, children, that sort of thing.
Sorry, I meant to say philanthropist. He did some charity work with the Thirst Project, which helps build wells in Swaziland. He made his major motion picture debut in The Outfield on full screen. Now, look, I don't know how seriously Nash was taking acting. I think he just saw it as an interesting opportunity. I know that there are aspiring actors out there who are angry that he got an opportunity that he did not deserve. And listen, your anger is valid, but unfortunately, these teeny boppers are getting booked because the producers think that they might bring in a larger audience. This is how the industry works, and oftentimes they're not entirely wrong. Would we be talking about this film if he and Cameron Dallas were not in it? The industry has never been a meritocracy, and it's only gonna get worse. So, I mean, I don't know. I'd be mad at the industry and not the 19-year-olds collecting their check. I actually watched this film, and let me tell you, it changed my life. Sorry. Okay, I didn't actually watch this movie, especially not after watching Chasing Cameron, taking notes throughout, in disbelief that this is actually my job. In the movie, Nash plays a baseball player who's all geared up to go to state, but he's an artist, and it's only his art teacher, or guidance counselor, or psychotic hallucination, I don't know, who tells him, "Honey, you're talented. You gotta go to Cal School of the Arts." Okay, she doesn't actually sound like that, but I wanted to do my Jennifer Coolidge. And yes, it's a different day. Same sweater. Didn't wash it. The film even has that cliche of, "It's not my dream, Dad. It's yours." But Nash's character's version of it is even meaner. "You only want me to go to state because you were never good enough." Cameron Dallas's character falls for this girl, but her daddy's like, "No, I can't even pretend to root for teen love." So Cameron has the opportunity to get out of this disgusting hick town that doesn't even have a frickin' Claire's by going to Wesleyan. Just break up. Y'all have known each other for 5 seconds and your brains aren't even fully developed. I didn't even have to watch the movie to know how it ends. In the 3rd act, the dad is going to go, "Wow, son, I didn't think you were this good. I guess I support you making art, even though it's a little fruity." The 3rd male lead is decorative. I mean, sorry to this actor, but let's be real. He was just there to fill the cute, non-threatening nerd quota. The immigrant in me is screaming, "Who cares about your stupid little dreams?" Unless Cal Arts gives him a full ride, which, knowing this movie, he probably does get a full scholarship. He's gonna be going into debt so that he can what? Learn how to shade a cheek? The movie got a 4.6 out of 10 on IMDb. There is nothing that I love more than polarizing ratings.
This movie saved my life. It is so inspiring. After watching this movie, I dropped out of medical school to pursue pursue my lifelong dream as a stand-up comedian. Timothée Chalamet's performance was outstanding.
Okay, they fooled me in the first half, but they redeemed themselves in the end.
This movie has truly changed my entire outlook on life, and I will now be pursuing street art instead of law school. Bless Timothée Chalamet for this eye-opening movie.
Okay, so it seems that the trolls have tapped into the same wavelength. In 2016, Nash was in the series Deleted. He went on tour again. It was called The Wave. And this time, the World in World tour didn't just mean America, Canada, Europe, and Australia. He actually went to brown countries.
Hey guys, heading off to Syria. If you're a cutie in Aleppo, I hope to see you in the crowd.
He had a smaller role in 2017's You Get Me, starring alongside Bella Thorne and Taylor John Smith. Nash just plays the Aryan boy's friend. In the movie, Bella Thorne hooks up with Triumph of the Will over here, but it happens during a time where he and his girlfriend Neutrogena are on a break. It's not just a hookup though. Bella and him connect on a deeper level. Let me guess, they talked about Kerouac,
and he thought, wow, I've never met a girl who could read before.
So she moves to LA and infiltrates his friend group, and she's really pressed when he gets back together with his girl. She goes all Fatal Attraction on him. I think people die, I don't know. Nash, it looks like he's barely even in this film. Again, I don't think acting was really a passion of his, and based on what I've seen, I really hope that it was not a dream of his either. So let's just say I was not exactly expecting him to be Toni Collette levels of excellent. In 2017, he uploaded his first YouTube video with Taylor, who is his girlfriend of like 2 years at this point. She's a photographer and was training to be a doula. Everyone in the comments is like, wow, he really grew up. Which is wild because he's only 20 in this. Taylor is very earthy, very hippy-dippy, very long skirt flowing hair. I imagine she likes to walk barefoot in the woods to connect with like the Earth's magnetic core. She's very peaceful and let's just say not exactly the flavor of girl that people expected him to get with, including me. She certainly does not seem like the kind of girl who shaves her arms or thinks that body hair is that big of a deal. At this point, his channel becomes more pastoral. It's a lot of baking and doing stuff with his boo. These videos smell like vanilla cinnamon, if you know what I mean. I did not expect this twist so early in his life. But then again, it only takes a few years in the business to burn you out. Much like anyone who became famous online as a child, he seems to kinda cringe at a lot of his older videos, which is understandable because I'm humiliated by everything that I've posted. I mean, as far back as like 5 months ago. Both of them are vegan. She believes that consuming animal products is unethical, and Nash doesn't like the food industry making everything so toxic. I'd be vegan, but just because I like violating produce. Okay, that was not the best verb to use. He dipped his toes in acting yet again with a guest role in the 2019 series Scream. The two eventually got engaged and they welcomed their first child, a son named Malachi. In 2019, it was a home birth. They bought a house in 2020 and they renovated that joint. I guess Nash really saved up all of that sweet, sweet Digitor moolah. They got a little garden. It's out of the city, but still in California. Lovely property that probably costs upwards of $1 million. You know, I'm just like really happy for them. In 2022, they bought a cabin in Washington State. Taylor popped out baby numero dos in summer of 2022. She was a little girl named Noah. Now Miss Taylor is living the dream artist/mommy life. But she went on to create her own clothing line in collaboration with Indigo Luna and a sock collection with Double Soul, as well as collaborating with Wildflower Cases. Her artwork is so adorable. It's very cozy, very fresh. Something about these strawberries is doing something to me. I just want to pluck them and eat them. They look so decadent and juicy. I just know that Miss Taylor makes a mean vegan banana bread. Most of Nash's content now is just him living a really cozy life with his wife or fiance. I don't actually know if they've officially gotten married yet. He's not very active online. I mean, he'll post like the occasional photo of him and his adorable little kids. He'll post about like the environment on Twitter every blue moon. The most attractive thing about a man's social media is its absence. He made a brief return to acting in 2023 with the film Unexpected. Aside from that, he's just living it up, eating smoothie bowls and going on calm hikes. Good for him, honestly. On to Cameron Dallas. Cameron Alexander Dallas was born on September 8th, 1994, in Whittier, California, aka the part of California that nobody cares about, but is actually affordable and doesn't resemble a Grand Theft Auto backdrop. He's Scottish, Mexican, and German. That's not really relevant. I just wanted to include like some cheap racial memes. Also, by the way, I did not deliberately look that up. Every single one of these MAGCON boys that isn't basically 100% like European mystery meat, they will have their collection of ethnicities listed, like an ingredient list, in their bios for some reason. His parents split, so Dallas and his older sister Sierra were raised primarily by their mother. According to Cameron, his dad was not around much, and the family lived in a garage apartment attached to a daycare. Dallas recalls, "I would come home and try to do homework, and all I could hear is the other kids playing." But they did eventually move to Chino, where Dallas went to school from grade 6 up. By 2010, he had amassed over 150K on Instagram just from posting those like model pics. And this was Instagram back in the day. Like 150K was a lot. He was taking it seriously too. He was borrowing equipment from his sister. He was trying to ensure that the light was bouncing off of his pre-light skin Justin Bieber era bowl cut just right. In 2012, the year of Coney, according to the American Zodiac, he started posting goofier videos online. And when Vine started popping off, that's when he started posting silly prank videos. That's right. Like, you can be cute and also goofy. I mean, Exhibit A. According to his sister, he was very shy and he'd get bullied at school, but social media allowed him to break through his shell. I can't imagine it helped with the bullying, though. Cameron says that he barely graduated high school. He would pretend to attend community college, but he would just drive around the corner and nap in his car and then play on his phone. The gag is, despite this track record, he's made more money than all of us. Since he already had some sweet, sweet internet clout, he would start posting his location to see if anybody would show up. And people did. Dozens. He and some other crafty influencers slash future MAGCON members, Shawn Mendes and Carpenter, realized they could milk some coin off of these tweens. So instead of doing it solo the way that Cameron and Aaron used to, they would organize these meet and greets in local Holiday Inns. They were making $1,000 a day from this enterprise. So the reason that Dallas started posting on Vine in 2013 was because his friend showed him a video of Riff Raff, who is probably one of the most visually interesting men on the West Coast. Also, he saw that Tyler, the Creator, was on there. And mind you, this was like 2013 Tyler. That man had a chokehold on white boys who loved skateboarding and wearing those like really high cholo socks. Cameron saw these two and were like, clearly this is a quality app. I think it was this specific Miley Cyrus parody video that blew up, which he uploaded on September 11th, by the way. You sick freak. Why weren't you mourning? He considered going back to community college, but let's be real, it was smarter for him to ride this wave of clout. He met Nash Grier at a party, and after Bart took notice of Cameron's meet and greet success, he snatched up these little nuggets. He created a YouTube channel, and I know for a fact that he definitely was doing collabs, but he privated all of his videos except for his music. He burned down a wing in the Library of Alexandria. His vines were what you'd expect. Teenage shenanigans, relatable hijinks, forcing strangers to dance for his amusement on camera. He's got a gun pointed at him off screen. It's sick. He'd of course collab with his MAGCON homies, and once he moved out to LA in 2014, into the 1600 Vine apartment complex, coincidentally, which was like a short-form content creating organism, where Viners were crammed in like sardines and would leech off of each other mutually. I'm talking Logan and Jake Paul, Andrew Batchelor, aka King Batch. Oh, I guess, yeah, that makes sense for a name. Why not King Lore? Doesn't that sound cooler? Whatever. Amanda Cerny, Lele Pons, Randy Mancuso, Hannah Stocking, Ayanna Sarkis, Anwar Jabawi, Lance Stewart, aka Lance 210, and of course, Jerry Perp Drank. It was a short-form artist collective, like Andy Warhol's really, but arguably more influential. That's probably true. Much like Nash, his collab list grew longer and his videos became more layered. By 2014, Dallas had 8.1 million followers on Vine, making him the 11th most followed account. At this point, he was allegedly earning around 20K for a sponsored post on Instagram. Around this point, MAGCON 1.0 breaks up. That same year of 2014, he checks off another box on the influencer bingo sheet. He dipped his toes into acting in the Awesomeness TV film Expelled. Him and Nash signed a deal with that production studio. Yeah, this is the byproduct of that. The film centers around Felix, who is a bad kid, as he's like a prankster slash trickster god, and he's finally gone too far. So he gets expelled from his generic Southern California school, but with the help of his dork brother slash actor with more credits and talent, he tries to hide it from his parents. Leah Marie Johnson is in this. She was so adorable. It's really tragic what happened to her. I am telling you, Rays of Sunshine cannot survive in this industry. The film received mixed reviews. Absolutely loved this movie. I could watch it 1 billion times. dismally unfunny, and at times slightly uncomfortable film, starring a lead so astonishingly repellent it was impossible to root for him. Not so much a prankster as a low-level criminal and misogynist. Fails on every level.
5 stars, cause of Cameron Dallas.
Personajes molestos, una trama y vista pero horriblemente, ejecutada y la actitud juvenil, hace que la película dura una eternidad. In 2014, alongside the Grier brothers, he launched a clothing line with Aeropostale. Was that the brand whose CEO was like, fat, ugly people shouldn't wear our clothes? No, that was Abercrombie and Fitch. He received a Teen Choice Award for Most Popular Viner that year. He got signed to IMG Models and worked with Calvin Klein. He did some acting in 2015 when he was in 2 episodes of American Odyssey. He checked off another box in the influencer bingo sheet by making some music. He released She Bad Though, and I don't care what y'all say, because this was kind of a jam.
What I can't make the music not about. I can't make the music not about. I don't know what y'all want me to do.
His first run-in with the law, that's right, first, was also this same year. He got felony vandalism charges after trying to paint his room for a YouTube video. There was a lack of evidence, so the prosecutor dropped the charges. Trusted news source Clever News would report on MAGCON on occasion, and there's this one video that was about Cameron Dallas, and I wanted to share with you a comment that was left underneath it. I think that it is a perfect summation of the perception of Cameron Dallas, especially like the response to him acting in films that his fans had, like, and contrast that to the general public.
For people asking why Cameron is famous, over 5 million followers on Twitter, over 3 million subscribers on YouTube, over 7 million followers on Instagram, over 3 million followers on Vine, casted in 2 movies, casted in 2 episodes of American Odyssey. He's a model, released 1 song, almost 2, featured in 1 song, won a Teen Choice Award. He's a MAGCON boy, owns a clothing line. If there's any reason for haters to be hating on him, it's because they're jealous.
I would pay to see what this girl thinks of this post now. I mean, like, not that much money, like maybe $1. He eventually bought MAGCON, and in 2016, he went on the 2.0 tour that was covered in the series. In 2018, he got signed to Retro Future, which is owned by Warner. He released the song, Why Haven't I Met You Yet? And if you want to see what dating in LA does to the human spirit, look no further than this music video, cause he looks like he's been through it. He's released even more music since then, and based on the lyrics, I think that he has been running the streets of LA like Usain Bolt and just getting his heart broken left and right. Probably breaking some hearts in the process as well, let's be real. He scrubbed his Instagram of everything prior to 2018. He went, oh, the old Cameron, that is dead. Years later, he revealed that during this time period, he had began, let's just say, using substances a bit too much and became addicted to sex. In the same Forbes interview, he recalls, in my I was such a dick to everyone. My manager and people, they all just left me. What am I gonna do? I can't put out my music. I can't do anything, which made me even more depressed. The writer of this Forbes article, by the way, was really on his pen game. Sin marred the once innocence of the young creator. Had the inequity of the father been visited upon the son? It's difficult to say, for no one knows the father except the son. Fame was once his friend, now his foe. His popularity was a cross he found too heavy to bear. Dallas's audience, previously aiding and abetting his rise, jeered him during his fall, revealing themselves as accomplices to his online crucifixion. Bars. Dang, Forbes. This writer really was like, hey, I might be a journalist, but don't y'all forget, I went to MIT. During his first stint in rehab, he only lasted 17 days. He checked out early, which I didn't even know you could do. But he just fell even harder into substances. In 2019, he had his second run-in with the law, this time for felony assault charges in Aspen, Colorado. He took a plea deal. He pled guilty to disorderly conduct. The judge gave him 6 months of unsupervised probation and 20 hours of community service. This is a recollection of the incident, according to a hotel employee's affidavit, as well as the testimonies of some of the other people involved. A 34-year-old man exited the elevator, bloodied and distraught, crying for help. Another man emerged from the elevator and started yelling at the bloodied man to leave the hotel. The bloodied man accused the other man of assaulting him. The man turned out to be Dallas. They continued arguing, and then Dallas got back into the elevator. That's when the popo pulled up. The hotel employee identified the man who yelled at the other man as Dallas. They escorted the popo to his room. According to Dallas, he and his friends were visiting from Los Angeles. They were getting crunk at Bootsy Bellows, an Aspen nightclub. The 34-year-old unidentified man involved himself with this group of friends. When the club closed, one of the posse, Nasser Al-Falah, invited the 34-year-old man back to the Hyatt. But at the hotel, Nasser, who was apparently going all Kris Jenner, was trespassing in one of the rooms. Apparently, security let him into the wrong room. He and another one of their faded friends start hollering and jumping on the hotel beds that 2 women are sleeping sleeping in. Imagine waking up to 2 drunk men smashing your shins with their Reeboks. I would have pressed charges. So he, Nasser, gets arrested. The 34-year-old man is chatting it up with Dallas and one of his associates. He asks if he can charge his phone in their room. They go up to their room, but then the alfalfa, or whatever his name is, his arrest happens, so Cameron dips so he can fix that situation. Allegedly, while he was absent, the man tries to make a move on Dallas's friend. He is not feeling him. Cameron gets back, and he claims that he immediately got a weird vibe. Dallas's friend tells him what went down. Dallas tells the guy, get out. But the man's like, no. Apparently things got weird. Like, what did he do? Take out a pendant and start swaying? That actually would be terrifying, though. That's why I always carry pepper spray, in case of a run-in with a hippie. The guy, according to Dallas at this point, is still refusing to leave. Dallas then goes into mama bear mode and starts whopping the man. He had abrasions on his right hand that were consistent with striking a person repeatedly. And he didn't just smack him around a little bit. He fractured the guy's nose and jaw. I mean, that's at strength. Dallas's charge was second-degree assault causing serious bodily injury. His bond was $5,000. So the journalist tried to get a statement from Dallas, but he did not respond to their text messages. His lawyer also kept his mouth shut. This was a pretty dark period in Cameron's life. There was another incident of him being accused of a homophobic attack by Cole Kerrigan, who is a makeup artist who escaped Team 10. He's like the internet equivalent of a North Korean refugee. So apparently Cole was at a random party, disassociating, which I'm assuming is the only thing you can do at an LA party, besides when Dallas randomly splashed water on him. Cole tweeted about the incident, and he believes that it was on account of him being gay. He said, I don't think this would have happened if I was one of the homies or a girl. But then another girl at the party is like, no, Cameron dumped water on me too. Like, you're reaching. Maybe there is some more information behind the scenes or info that we're not privy to. Maybe Cole has had previous experience with, let's just say, dude bro types being shady or disrespectful towards him, and he carried that into the situation. I don't know. Considering that this was during a time period in which Cameron admits that he was tweaking, I would not be surprised if he was so out of it that he just thought dumping water on people would be funny. I don't know if I have enough evidence to say that it was premeditated. Now, this specific party incident happened before he went to Colorado, I believe, but after he got arrested, that's when he said, okay, I gotta go back to rehab. Cameron states in the Forbes interview, I lost everything. I needed to go back. The second time, I finished my 30 days and got a scholarship for 12 more days for free due to the program's generosity. I also continued with an intensive outpatient program for 4 months combined with therapy to keep myself on the right track. He's been clean ever since. Good for him. In 2019, his sister gave birth to a little girl named Capri, short for Capri Sun. Sierra says that becoming an uncle was a real turning point in his life. That same year of 2019, he began dating model Madison Menchaca, and sometimes they would post TikToks together. And there's this one in particular which, if you want to know what dating in LA does to your levels of baseline trust, Exhibit A. They did break up in November of 2024, though. In 2020, he was in Mean Girls on Broadway, like the official Tina Fey production, not like an off-Broadway show. He was playing Aaron. The original actor for that role, Kyle Seelig, was on a leave of absence, so Cameron got slotted in for a 4-week run at the August Wilson Theater. I don't know what strings he had to pull to get that, though. Audiences did not respond well to this. I honestly was hoping that he would surprise everybody and just turn out a phenomenal performance. Mediocre where? I wanted him to be like, y'all didn't think that I could hit a high C or do a 2-step, did you? But unfortunately, it was not good. In 2020, he also released an album called Dear Scarlet. I listened to his music and it's very laid back, kind of sad. It feels like you're having an existential crisis at a party that you really don't want to be at. There's a lot of stuff that I'm assuming is based on heartbreak and flings with random models. It's a very classic LA tale. In 2021, his nephew Callum was born. You can tell that he really enjoys being an uncle. I mean, being an aunt and uncle is kind of the best. It's the fun of being able to play around with cute, chubby little kids, getting to tickle their fat little legs that look like calzones. I think I might be ovulating. But when they start screaming or pooping, you can just hand them back over to their parents. In 2022, these two entrepreneurs, Guess Tetner and Pompan, linked up with Dallas. They had a startup called Fanfix. It's basically a platform where fans can subscribe to a creator's profile. So think Patreon or OF, but with less adult content and custom art that proves that the internet was a mistake. So he was supposed to be the creative force behind the platform. The comments on this Forbes piece are tea. Cameron is a scammer. Have you looked at his Fanfix account? He charges $50 monthly and only posts a random picture of his foot every other week. Why bolster this guy's ego when he doesn't even treat his fans well? What a disgusting puff paste. Y'all taking money from his PR people? Forbes is 100% not a reputable news site. How about you go interview the people he
Hey Cameron Dallas, I love you forever.
So instead of a one-off collab, Dallas negotiated having a stake in the business. That same year, he released My Broken Heart. All he posts about on his Twitter is crypto, especially GME, which are GameStop stocks, I think. This was like a few years back when the crypto insanity reached a peak. From June 4th to 6th, especially on June 5th, he was reposting up a storm. I honestly, and I'm not even saying this is a joke, hope that he didn't relapse during this period because this is very like Coke Bender-esque. In 2024, he turned 30, so I mean, that's kind of a milestone. He's not really very active on social media. I mean, besides the occasional TikTok. At his peak, Cameron had 27 million followers on Instagram, 17 million on TikTok, 14.7 million on Twitter, 5.5 million on YouTube, and 9 million on Vine. I mean, all jokes aside, I do hope that he can stay clean. Dang, this industry is really scary. Anyway, on to Shawn Mendes. Shawn Peter Raoul Mendes was born on August 8th, 1998 in Toronto, Canada.
And what I don't like is if the business is true, that you left your moms in the hood, somebody go smoke that youth.
Ooh, exotic. He has a younger sister, Alaya. They grew up in Pickering, Ontario, which is a Toronto suburb. He attended Pine Ridge Secondary School. Like any Gen Z kid, he utilized the internet for its real purpose. Cyberbullying? No, little one. I mean, generally yes, but in his case, no. Shawn taught himself how to play the guitar through YouTube, and a few months after Vine launched, he started posting singing covers. In August of 2013, he posted a cover of Jaquavius Bieber's As Long As You Love Me. He laid his little Canadian head down to sleep, and when he woke up, the video had over 10K likes. Andrew Gertler, who is his manager, noticed him through these videos. And of course, in 2013, he started performing with MAGCON. Maybe Bart thought that the girls needed a little palate cleanser in between dance-offs. With his acoustic guitar in hand, he serenaded audiences for a handful of glorious shows. This is actually live footage of journalists asking Shawn about his time in MAGCON. All jokes aside, I don't think he actually has beef with any of these boys. Like, he'd even go to bat for them when people were being shady.
Nieces told me about you, and I was concerned because they made me have on that Nash, what's his?
Nash Grier.
And yeah, and Cameron.
Dallas.
Yeah, and I didn't know, I didn't get them. They're Vine boys,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't get them. I kept calling them the jerky boys, right? But you have talent.
They're very funny though. I mean, I can't put them down because they're hilarious boys. Like I know them and they're very funny and very witty and creative.
Sorry, I just can't with this interviewer. She said, so how is it working with people who are, you know, talentless hacks, no offense? I think he just viewed the gigs as a stepping stone, so he might look back at this period with some, like, retrospective embarrassment, but that seems to be about it. I don't really think it's that deep. And to be fair, did it not work? In 2014, he released his debut single, Life of the Party, which hit number 24 on the Billboard 100. This made Shawn, who was 15 at the time, the youngest person ever to have a debut hit the top 25 on Billboard. I'm not gonna lie, some of these music accolades, like the stats get really specific, you know what I mean? They're like baseball stats. He opened for Taylor, Miss Swift if you're nasty, on her 1989 tour. So this was like peak Blonde Bob era. He released the Shawn Mendes EP that same year under Island Records, and that charted at number 5. So at this point in 2014, he was like, MAGCON, no. No. That gig was for exposure, because his career took off after this. So post MAGCON in 2015, he releases his debut album, Handwritten, which reaches number 1 in both the US and his native land of Canada. Stitches was the big single of this album. It contains the line, when I'm without your kisses, I'll be needing stitches. You know what? He was 16. I'm gonna cut him some slack because I don't know if I could actually write better lyrics now as a grown woman. Actually, that's not true. I can. I have. I'm sorry that he wasn't a songwriting prodigy as a child, okay? Not everybody can be Emily.
My name's Emily and I'm 5. I like playing Roblox and I like going outside. I miss school, but I'm stuck inside. This virus has me losing my mind.
He scored the greatest honor of all, getting a song, Believe to be exact, to be featured in a Disney Channel original film, The Descendants, not to be confused with the George Clooney film, About adultery? This movie has, honestly, a lot of bangers in it. Oh, rest in peace, Cameron Boyce. In 2015, he scored another top 20 hit and his first collab with former Fifth Harmony member Camila Cabello in I Know What You Did Last Summer. They actually met when they opened for Austin Mahone back in 2014. Y'all remember him? This was the beginning of the relationship that introduced me to what PR relationships even were. Even if it were fake. Let them have a fake relationship. I prefer that. People in entertainment are, I mean, no shade, dancing monkeys. I don't expect them to be able to reciprocate affection unless there is a brand deal or press involved. That is the natural way of things. Now, we might as well just get this over with because we're already on the topic of his love life. If you are unfamiliar with Shawn Mendes' place in stan Twitter culture, this is what most of it consists of.
Hi, I'm Shawn Mendes.
You are gay!
A lot of people just think that he's on the down low. I will say that this specific moment
It's giving share.
did get me, okay? I giggled. I occasionally indulged in the memes, but all jokes aside, can y'all just stay out of this man's business? In 2016, he graduated from high school online. Dang, all of this happened even before he graduated? He also released Treat You Better, which was another hit, and includes one of my favorite line deliveries. Better than he can! His second EP, Don't Be a Fool, came out. Then he released his second, actual full-length album, Illuminate. He did almost all of the songwriting on this one. He was really trying to channel John Mayer or Ed Sheeran. Just very, sad white boy guitar music. Now, you might be asking, well, what is sad black girl guitar music then? Tracy Chapman. In 2017, he released a recording of his Madison Square Garden show, and he embarked on a world tour. He released another hit, There Is Nothing Holding Me Back. Mendes also did an MTV Unplugged session, which I didn't even know they were still doing. I thought this got replaced by Tiny Desk. That same year, he dated Hayley Not Yet Bieber. She was working her way up to Jaquavius, you know? They strutted on the 2018 Met Gala red carpet together, but then they broke up the same year. He released In My Blood and Lost in Japan back to back. And then that May, he dropped his third album, Shawn. This finally got him a Grammy nomination for Best Pop Vocal Album. In 2019, his second collab with Camila Cabello dropped, Señorita. This song is just such perfect drunken shimmy music. Like a couple on the verge of splitting up would dance to this drunkenly on a cruise. They finally confirmed their relationship after denying the rumors for years, but then they did break up in November of 2021. In 2020, he released Wonder, which is his fourth album. Camila actually inspired two of the songs, the titular Wonder and Summer of Love. I wish someone would write songs about me. Call it Tapioca Nightmare. In 2020, he canceled his world tour after only 7 shows due to mental health issues, which, I mean, the cancellations would have happened regardless.
Canceling that tour was by far the hardest decision of my life and by far the greatest decision of my life. And it gave me a life, you know, it gave me time to discover so much about myself. And yeah, I'm smiling now because it's so far away, but it just did so much for me.
This boy has been touring since he was 15. I can imagine he's burnt out. In the year afterwards, he says that he did not make any music really. He might have written 1 song. I know that he was probably just mentally exhausted, but I like to believe that he woke up in a cold sweat in his mansion and realized, I'm attractive, rich, and still in my early to mid-20s. I might as well be happy. He grew his beard out and started walking around LA in a tracksuit for days. Paparazzi snapped pics of him and people thought that he was having some sort of mental breakdown. And I mean, he jokes about it. There were all these crazy articles about me joining a cult and me joining a wizard society. In 2022, he memed himself again due to his role in Lyle Lyle Crocodile. La 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 la. The movie, despite being memed to death, actually got fairly positive reviews. I think kids would like it. The proportions of the crocodile do make me deeply uncomfortable, though. He looks goofy, but the film is an adaptation of a children's book where the doodle has the same build. I'll body shame a cartoon. I don't care. I want to kick him down a flight of stairs. Matter of fact, I want to take his little tail and swing him around. I want to fling him across the bridge to Brooklyn. I'm getting a little too aggressive. This is a CGI crocodile. I do remember watching this film, or at least 2/3 of it when it came out. I truly cannot not recall most of it. There are children in it. There's an Asian, there's a white, multiple whites, I believe. In 2024, he went on the record and said he's still figuring his sensuality out. I think it's kind of silly because I think sensuality is such a beautifully complex thing and it's so hard to put people into boxes. The internet acted in an interesting yet unexpected fashion. Shawn is still in his bag. He's the brand ambassador for the jeweler David Yurman. In 2024, he went back to making music and released Isn't It Enough? In July. I'm sorry, but I can only read that title with the tone and anger of Toni Collette in Hereditary. He was planning on releasing his 5th album, and he pushed the release date to November 15th. It's out now, I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me check. Yes, it is out. The reviews are not great, but honestly, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be shallow, but when you got a mug like that, who cares about artistic talent? He returned back to the stage in August of the same year at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane in London. He was seen smooching Camila Cabello at Coachella back in 2023. I don't know how they haven't firebombed that festival at this point. Honestly, when I was looking at his Instagram, I saw a recent photo of him, and I thought, dang, okay, he's grown now. He is easily the most successful member of MAGCON, like bar none. And he seems to have maintained his sanity, so good for him, honestly. He won. Jack Johnson and Jack Gilinsky. Jack Johnson, aka the little blonde one, was born on March 24th, 1996, in the backdrop to Midwestern Gothic landscape paintings, Omaha, Nebraska. Two parents, John and Jennifer. He has an older brother named Jeff. A quadruple J family. They pull the Kardashian. Jack Gilinsky, who was like the singer / the one that everyone thought was cute, was born on September 10th of 1996. Also in Omaha, Nebraska, to parents Catherine and David. He has 2 older sisters. Gilinsky is the only person who's been in MAGCON, as far as I know, at least the OG lineup, that is a member of the tribe. Like, he's Jewish, not a member of a tribe called Quest. And who said MAGCON wasn't diverse? The two met in kindergarten, their eyes locked across the playpen, since both of them were wearing the same shirt. When the teacher did a roll call and they realized they both had the same name, they glided towards each other, their tiny light-up Skechers hovering above the sticky floor. Their foreheads kissed, their third eyes blinked on each other. They communicate telepathically with each other that one day they will both reach mid-levels of internet fame. They've been friends ever since. Their parents had to apparently call them Jack J and Jack G, because if they just called the name Jack out loud, they'd both go, yes. Aww. In 2007, they created a joint YouTube account called Mother Falcon Quagmire, where they acted out music videos and made skits mocking the English. I've been guilty of that. They'd make parodies of beer commercials, etc. Gilinsky joined Vine before Johnson in about July of 2013. He created a series of I Never Miss videos. They wanted to see if they could get to over 10K followers before the school year started, but they didn't reach 10K followers. They reached 20K. That's when they realized, maybe we should just stick to this duo channel shtick. Jack and Jack was born. Their content was the classic, relatable teen stuff. Dressing up as girls, being quirky. Sketches that incorporated a line from a song were really big at the time.
How's it going? We just moved in next door. I'm Jack. And I'm Jack.
It's nice to meet you guys.
The neighbors know my name. You know, I smiled at some of these. These might be my favorite crop of vines so far. Their Eric and Winston Nerd Vandals vine was easily the most popular one of their videos by far.
Me and Eric are about to go vandalize some stuff.
Hi. Sure about this?
Yeah, man, just go. Hurry.
This is one of the only video of theirs that I remember seeing back in the day. And it really did wonders for their channel because they gained like 100K followers from this. The Huffington Post even described it as the perfect vine. It was Mr. Dallas, procurer of talent that he is, who added them to MAGCON because he thought that they would be a good fit. The two are most known for their music and Gilinsky's bone structure. While attending Westside High School, they crossed paths with producing duo Barrington Park. Government names, Turner and Travis Akins. Now, this was still back in 2013. They partnered up and in a little makeshift studio, they recorded their first track, Indoor Recess. In January of 2014, they released their first official song, Distance. Y'all gotta listen to this one on your own because the audio mixing in this is whack. No shade, Barrington Park. I know y'all were in high school, but it shows. They're probably better now. The vocals just sound off, and you can tell this was written by an 18-year-old. They graduated from high school that spring, so this is around the time that they dipped from MAGCON. And much like Shawn Mendes, I think the two of them went, no shade, but we kind of got what we wanted out of this little tour, so it's time we head to the studio. They did not initially sign to any record label, with Johnson stating, "Why get our money stolen or make less less money when we can get our songs on the exact same spot on the charts ourselves? We're going to stay independent as long as we can, until we see the benefit from the recording label. I think this was the right move. Record companies are just legal loan sharks, but more successful. Not being attached to a label did not prevent them from collaborating with people like Max Martin, Steve Aoki, Savan Kotecha, I hope I'm saying that name right, and fellow MAGCON survivor Shawn Mendes. Of the first 8 songs that they released, 4 of them, Doing It Right, Wildlife, Cold Hearted, and Tides, made it onto the Billboard Top Digital Song List, and all 8 singles were top 10 on iTunes. Ugh. iTunes memories. With Wildlife in particular, which is to this day their most popular hit, charting at number 87 on the Billboard Top 100. They never forgot where they came from though. They partnered with Sky Vu, which is an Omaha-based mobile game company, which is a string of words I did not expect to say out loud, and released the game Let It Goat in 2014. It's like an obstacle avoidance game with this little goat character. I'm certain that the name was based on the Let It Go meme with the goat doing vocals. We really have no place making fun of Gen Alpha sense of humor when we made this go viral. It seems to have done pretty well as, mobile games go. By fall of that year, they had reached 4.5 million followers on Vine. Much like Grier, they joined Digitour and they sold out their 2014 tour, so they came back in 2015. In late 2014, Digitour Media recorded and released a documentary about their tour, which seems a little bit early. You gotta wait until they're at least, 10 years in the game and fresh out of rehab before you shove a camera in their face and destroy their public image. You're not gonna get some kind of monster's level of drama and bitterness after 1 year in. By 2015, they had reached 5 million followers on Vine and hit the 1 million singles sold milestone on iTunes. I remember in one of the songs that they featured on, it was the artist Skates Like That, where the rapper yells out his stage name in the beginning of the music video, but it sounds like he was yelling out skank. It's not that funny. They were the opening act for the Janoskians. Those boys had a whole career. I wonder what they're doing now. They finally released their first EP, Calabrasca, get it? In July of 2015, it went #1 on iTunes. They received the illustrious honor of being Teen Choice Award and Streamy Award nominees. They didn't snag a win, though, not until 2015's MTV Woody Awards, which I didn't even know this was a thing. But they won the Social Climber Award, which just sounds like a backhanded accolade. But the MTV Woody Awards are voted on by the fans alone. I guess that's its distinction. This is the trophy, by the way. The name Woody is allegedly the way that record labels will jokingly refer to their artists that failed to go diamond, platinum, or gold, or even silver. They went wood, get it? I'm assuming after that failure, the record execs just take the artist out back and break their kneecaps. From 2015 to 2017, Gilinsky dated fellow gorgeous, sharp jawline haver Madison Beer. Nash Grier introduced them at a party. They went on a group vacay. Gosh, to be young, attractive, and have disposable income. And that's when Madison says that she started looking at him and thinking, wait, this corn-fed cutie is doing something to me. They made it a fish, privately, in July of 2014. There were, of course, rumors about them dating, because people are nosy. In January of 2015, an internet stalker by the name of Sarah Stalker, who is known for basically just getting a lot of pictures with celebrities. I don't really know if she was stalking all that much. Break into somebody's home or start stealing snippets of their hair. Then you can earn that label. She snapped a pic with them together at a restaurant, and I guess people started connecting the dots from there. They'd drop hints on social media, like they'd tweet,
I have something to admit, guys. I like potatoes.
What's with all this buildup? They announced their relationship publicly on March 15th of 2015 when they attended the Comedy Central roast of Justin Bieber. I remember this relationship as being weirdly contentious. A lot of Jack's fans were saying, oh, Madison only wants him for clout. She was written off as just being famous because she was pretty, because at that time, she really hadn't started to come into her musical element the way that she has recently. I think some of her songs are bops now, but back then, the music really wasn't hitting as hard. But then again, she was literally a teenager at the time. Not everybody can be Billie frickin' Eilish. There was a 2.5-year age gap between them, which made Madison a minor when they started dating, and some people were uncomfortable with that. But oh boy, did the bomb drop on July of 2017, when an audio clip got leaked of Jack verbally Madison. This is basically what went on in the clip.
I think your music is kind of
You're a freaking There is another audio clip of Madison walking in on Jack cheating on her, and she's crying. He proceeds to call her stupid. Her fans made hashtag Jack Gilinsky is over party trend on Twitter. Gilinsky did confess to the audio being authentic and fessed up to the verbal harassment. He posted an apology on Twitter. He claimed that it was a low point in his life. It was a year ago. I've changed. Now, they were officially broken up at this point. Madison claims that she still stayed with him during the time that these audio clips were recorded because she wanted to fix him so that he wouldn't treat other girls like this. Gilinsky stated, "Madison knew if she didn't help me overcome my ways and change, no one would, and I would never learn from my mistakes. I'll never be able to thank her enough for believing in me the way she did during that time." Sir, you are a grown man. It's not somebody else's responsibility to teach you how to not be verbally abusive. Madison seemed to have regretted ever staying with him, urging her fans to leave any relationship where you're being disrespected or mistreated. Jack Johnson, in response to the scandal, released a now deleted video where he technically does not deny that Gilinsky said all of those things to Madison or negated the accusations of his infidelity, but he does claim that their toxic relationship was fully mutual, stating, "I've heard Madison call Jack things and say things about people in general that would undoubtedly put her in this exact position right now," going as far as to say that having witnessed their fights for 3 years, the audio marked the first instance where he heard Beer hold her tongue in an argument. Jack and Madison should have realized a long time ago that they were toxic for each other. Everyone tried to tell them different. I'm not gonna let her make it seem like it was just Gilinsky saying shit to her, and not vice versa, because that's never been the case. Again, a lot of the accusations against Gilinsky were confirmed, and it's difficult to know how objective Johnson is gonna be about this because Gilinsky's literally his, ride or die from day one. This is icky. I'm gonna wash my hands clean of this. Now, as a result of this video, people started to dig into Johnson's past, and shocker, they found a bunch of racist tweets from back in 2013. And we have yet another box checked off the influencer bingo sheet. Unfortunately, I cannot confirm if these tweets are really authentic because they've obviously been deleted, but my opinion, okay, that is technically unsubstantiated, kind of, is that I wouldn't be shocked if he did actually pen these tweets. The duo eventually signed with Island Records in 2017 because they wanted to be more mainstream. That same year, they released their second EP, Gone. They got a nod from Elvis Duran in January of 2018. I'm pretty sure this is the guy from Duran Duran, where he picked them as his artist of the month. When the Jonas Brothers had their comeback in 2018, they featured on their song Rise, which performed well in the UK, peaking at number 3 on the Isles singles chart. It wasn't until January of 2019 that the duo actually released their first full-scale album, A Good Friend Is Nice, which does have a cute photo of them on the album art. But the title, A Good Friend Is Nice, I mean, it sounds like something a preschooler would scribble onto a piece of paper. I don't know, maybe they were trying to make it sound deliberately juvenile, who knows. Maybe they have more artistic vision than I'm giving them credit for. They went on tour to promote the album. It seems that the fans' response was generally positive to their new sound. Their fan base in the UK seems to be stronger than the one they have in the US, where our artistic palette is more sophisticated, of course. Because they were nominated for a Brit Award in 2019. Like any group, after a while, the members just kind of want to do their own thing. So in April of 2020, Gilinsky dipped his toes in making solo projects and released My Love, featuring Don Toliver. He's the one that sang, "Feeling like I did too much, feel like I did too much, let's get la-di-ya. So 2020 is when they went on hiatus. There was no beef, they just wanted to do their own thing. Johnson debuted his solo track, You Lie, in September of the same year. This was under the stage name Jack J. There was already a band that was called Jack J, his actual name spelled out and the last initial of his last name. In 2022, Gilinsky started dating a model named Geneva Natalia. Man, that name rolls right off the tongue. They welcomed a daughter named Haven in November of 2022. The baby bump photos on Instagram announcing the pregnancy had such vicious comments. There were rumors that Madison and Geneva were besties, and Geneva broke girl code by dating her friend's toxic ex. But I don't think there's any evidence that they were even really friends, let alone best friends. I think they just ran in the same circles, which, considering how incestuous the LA influencer/hot person scenes are, wouldn't be that surprising. Johnson and Gilinsky did briefly reunite in 2022 and released Runaway and Right Here With You. I legit could not find out that much about Johnson's current life. I mean, besides him still being alive and making music, he's an uncle now. Look at that little nugget. It seems LA did not completely chew them up and spit them out. Next, Taylor Caniff. This bandana enthusiast was born February 3rd, 1996, in Princeton, Indiana. He has 3 siblings, Jordan, Kristen, and Kelly. He lived in Princeton until he was 15. He hopped around from Greencastle, Indiana to Texas. As a kid, his dad accidentally ran over him with his car and he had to have surgery. Does that have anything to do with his life or career trajectory? Not really. It just kept popping up on all of his fan websites as like a fun little fact about his childhood. It's like the only actual recorded anecdote from his adolescence that there seems to be. Taylor's mother did go to jail when he was young. He doesn't go into detail regarding what went down though. As inappropriate as it is, I was curious as to what she did. Arson? I'll stop. To be fair, you're looking at a person who asked the therapist that she was forced to see when she was a child if she thought her marriage was going to last. That's not even a joke. I actually did that. Taylor's father worked full time, so his grandparents primarily raised him. To the point where he would call his grandmother Shirley Mom. That's sad. He created his YouTube channel in 2012, but the earliest surviving video on there is from 2014, so he was like steeped in MAGCON by this point. But the vibe of his early videos is still very teen from a small town where the Walmart is the hub of culture, goofing around type videos. It's authentic, I'll give him that. He posted his first Vine on May 8th of 2013. There's theft caught on camera, the little delinquents. He shares some of his poetry.
iPhone 4, my sisters are funny. My d***'s so small, it's funny. Quaker Oats, I f- goats. Quaker Grits, your dad's so hard he did the split.
You can tell he really is from the country because this is the most crickets in the background that you can hear in any one of these Vine compilations. He didn't really seem to be doing that much between 2014 and 2016, so I'm assuming when he heard Cameron Dallas was saying that the tour was gearing up again, he was like, oof, okay, well maybe now I can pay the lease on this bright orange sports car. So he stuck with MAGCON until around 2016. He was not at his best element during the series. He did do something in the gap between the first and second MAGCON tour, because in 2015 he released his song Cash on Me. I implore you to actually listen to the song and music video, which is still up on his channel. It doesn't even sound like him. I'm gonna say that music is not exactly a skill of his. Thankfully, I don't think it was much of a passion either. Shooting a rap music video in a house that you cannot afford, in front of cars that you also cannot afford and are gonna have to return, is truly like the most painfully LA thing I've ever seen. When the OG MAGCON split, Taylor was not about to abandon his fans like that. I mean, their parents still had disposable income. So in 2015, he went on a tour called RV Life. It was pretty low-key and I think he organized it himself. For $20, you'd get a little meet and greet and you take a selfie together. By 2016, there was not only the MAGCON tour, but he reached 2.6 million followers on Vine. That year, he had his last surge of online relevance via a contrived beef with Rice Gum, who took a break from bullying children to make a series of drama videos, where he alleges that, enraged by their Twitter spat, Caniff managed to get Rice Gum's YouTube channel taken down temporarily, since his channel did actually go down for like a brief period of time, right after Caniff tweeted, "Don't mess with me." Coincidence? I think not. Of course, this just seems like a poor excuse to chart out another diss track, which were inexplicably big during this era. Okay, maybe not inexplicably. I do have a theory. I think that the suburban kids who catapulted these creators to fame yearned for like a rated PG version of a rap beef, but one where they knew that none of these creators involved in the spat that they had developed an unhealthy emotional attachment to were going to end up in a hearse, and with like lyrics and references that they understood. Why did I say that? Like, oh my gosh, this is my elaborate theory. It's like the only possible reason that kids were watching this. Rice Gum's rap was technically a rap. I might not even be able to play it because he seems petty enough to put a copyright strike on this video just for that. The beef was punctuated with this limp threat of physical violence. I would actually like to see a spar between these two, like a dirty bum fight. Not an official fight with sponsors and proper lighting. I don't want either one of them to make a bag off of this. On his Instagram, he'll post about MAGCON quite frequently, and it's kind of sad. It's like he knows those were the glory days, and they weren't even particularly great. Surely, his grandmother / maternal figure did sadly pass away in 2020. R.I.P. ma'am. In 2021, there was some controversy, let's just say, involving the now infamous YouTuber Nikita Dragon, who, if you're not aware, is a trans woman, which, it's relevant to the story. Dragon was leaving the club with 2 guys. Caniff went up to the 2 guys and asked them if they knew that Nikita was a dude. This entire encounter was captured on an Instagram story. Caniff responded to the backlash by saying it was a joke. Sure. He believes that this footage was released by his clout-ridden friends. Now, there are several of his more recent posts where he's just joking about having a big behind where, and as a result, he has created truly the most politically misaligned comment section that I've ever seen. It's either like men calling him gay or people spam posting the trans flag. I've never seen such contrast. Starting in 2017, he gradually started posting less on social media, besides like the one-off Instagram post. He does actually have a TikTok page where he delves into what happened during these years.
No, because this is so real. This TikTok is so real. For most of you watching this, you probably have no idea who I am, but I fit every one of these characters. Completely irrelevant now, don't have a college degree. I didn't even go to high school. I don't even have a GED. By 2020, I lost it all. But during those years, I had the craziest parties, had the most insane ego. I had Lambos, a big house out here, was throwing parties for all these celebrities and everything. And before you know it, I lost it all. Had to move back to Indiana and went through such a crazy depression, really bad. Lucky to even have a second chance. And I'd more or less in making this video for new and upcoming influencers. If you're able to finish college, do that. I remember when I was an influencer and I was at my peak, I was on college and stuff like that, saying, my teachers never believed in me, this, that, and the other. And they most certainly were most likely right. You think that then, you realize later in life, you got to live for quite a while. And social media doesn't last forever. But yeah, luckily I was able to become very great at marketing for other companies and other brands and stuff like that. And was able to get big into Airbnb. I love doing Airbnb, so to answer that question, that is what I do now.
Well, I guess he's done more than most. I mean, could be worse. He could be back in the trailer park. Next, Matthew Espinosa. Matthew Lee Espinosa was born on July 7th of 1997 in Woodbridge, Virginia. He's one of 4, with a sister, Kristen, and 2 older brothers, Dylan and Ryan. In addition, he has 2 half-siblings named Melanie and Raphael. You know what that means. Divorced parents. He's of Colombian, French, Irish, and German ancestry. Once again, literally a sprinkle of anything that's not European, and they will bring up his ethnicity in any of his bios. He wanted to be a celebrity from a young age, to the point where his dad called him Mr. Hollywood. With that kind of name, I like to imagine that as a toddler, he would wear black and white tracksuits, smoke cigarettes, and call people toots. He attended Bishop Ireton High School, which is a private Catholic preparatory school in Alexandria, Virginia. Ooh, that is a bougie string of words. It was during this time that he started making vines in 2013. His videos were sort of standard goofy boy shenanigans, relatable sketches, stuff about girls, tee-hee, things being awkward, etc. Now, he had met some of the OG MAGCON boys prior just through Vine. He met Carter Reynolds on the mass flashing platform known as Omegle. This is after he told his fans to type in Matthew Espinosa on like the interest tab or whatever, and maybe they'd be able to cross paths on the website. Those poor fans got a non-consensual anatomy lesson that night. Reynolds was trying to meet Espinosa, and he succeeded because they did meet, and that's when they linked up. So Matthew did not actually join MAGCON officially until after the first show in Houston. So him, Nash, and Carter didn't actually come on until the Dallas show. He had the idea of making a group Vine channel called 5 Dudes Vining. Obviously the other 4 with like the big MAGCON boys. And within 24 hours, the account had over 100K followers. He only did about 8 events within the span of a few months before he dipped. He started his YouTube channel in 2013, and in July he posted his first video. He began uploading more consistently around that time. It was vlogs, relatable content, stuff about skill, Q&As with the MAGCON boys, feeding into that sweet, sweet parasocial relationship with his fans. Who am I kidding? I would have milked that too. Post MAGCON 1.0, Matthew ventured into acting, starring in the 2016 film Be Somebody, where he played Jordan J. It's basically Justin Bieber. It's so fanfiction. So in the film, he's an uber-famous pop star who sneaks off his tour bus and gets hounded by these rabid fangirls who are like, oh my gosh, you're that guy. So he Scooby-Doo runs away and begs this girl to let him in her car. She's really hesitant and he's like, please? And when she still refuses, he takes out a Glock and he says, don't let this concealer fool you. I'm not afraid to repaint the interior of this cheap-ass car. They call me Milk Drop in the streets. So she goes, okay, I guess. While in the car, she reveals that she's not a fan of him. And he's really confused because he's like, how is that possible? You're a girl. He needs somewhere to crash and he asks to stay at her place. And he goes, look, I know you're poor and you need the money. And she can't exactly deny that. I mean, to be fair, he is correct. The plot goes exactly where you would expect it to go. She learns to see him for more than the super rich and successful and adored pop star that he is. And he realizes that she's cute, and even though she's a brokey, he can find it somewhere in his charitable heart to still hook up with her. Aww. A lot of viewers realized this is just starstruck with Justin Bieber. Again, some deliciously polarizing reviews. He had a few more acting roles, such as Burns in 48 Hours to Live. In 2016, he reportedly dated model Jessica Surfati. He was the teen in this scenario. She was 25. Really flipped the script, huh? In 2017, he played Adam on Ballers. That's the HBO show starring The Rock, and it's about football or something. It's really just a male wish fulfillment series. It's like Emily in Paris for guys, but more explicit. Matthew stacked up his IMDb page with roles like Captain Zach Diamond in 2017's The Text Committee. He played Joey Oliver in Netflix's American Vandal. Espinosa hosts a podcast, Gen to Gen, with Eric Griffin. I really like Eric Griffin. He just seems so warm. I feel like he'd smell like football leather and cinnamon.
I took my phone, I put it in my locker, I went to football practice. Hour and a half later, I go and get the phone out of my locker, 100,000 followers.
Wait.
And
you played football?
His career slowed down post-2019, but in 2022, he did play Stuart in A Hollywood Christmas. He still posts semi-occasionally on TikTok and Instagram. He seems to still be with his girlfriend, Kristen, I think. I honestly could not find out that much about this man's love life, which is generally quite a good thing. He still talks to some of the other MAGCON boys, so I think they're on good terms. And he'll look back fondly on some of these memories, but he doesn't seem too hung up on the nostalgia of it all. This man is only 2 years older than me, but he's lived a whole life, huh? I mean, it doesn't hold a candle to Julia Fox, but still. Time moves fast in La La Land. On to Hayes Grier. Benjamin Hayes Grier was born on June 8th, 2000. 2000? I mean, okay, I was born in 99, but reading out that someone was born in the new millennia still feels odd. He was born in Mooresville, North Carolina. He's, of course, the younger brother of Nash Grier. It was Tiffany Samashko again who catapulted his online success. He posted a video of Nash on a rooftop, and she retweeted it. The rest was history. He joined MAGCON via Nash. He was younger, his eyes were bluer, his hair was thicker. Bart saw this, and he thought, good. His vines are pretty similar to his brother's. What's jarring is how noticeably young he is in these. He must have been in middle school. Many of them, of course, feature Nash. Again, it's just sort of typical adolescent fodder. In 2014, his first existing YouTube video was uploaded, featuring the other teen heartthrobs of the era. Over the years, the videos became more family-oriented. Skylin would, of course, make guest appearances. If you can't exploit cuteness, then what is its purpose? As mentioned before, he was part of the clothing line launch with Aeropostale alongside Cameron and Nash in 2014. Regarding MAGCON, he dipped once his brother dipped, because that's loyalty. So post that tour ending, he did what anyone who has some amount of clout but doesn't really know what to do with their career does. He featured on the show that is playing in the living room of every divorced woman with an estranged relationship to her children, Dancing with the Stars. So in 2015, he was a contestant on the show, with Emma Slater being his assigned dance partner. At age 15, he was the youngest competitor in this show's history. He was eliminated during week 7, finishing in 8th place. He did not get eliminated during week 1, and that's all that counts. That same year, he featured in Bart Baker's video, I Can't Feel My Face, and I Really Like You. In 2016, he got his own series with Verizon Go 90 and Awesomeness TV. It was called Top Grier, like Top Gear, and it had multiple seasons. The trailer includes this folksy song that sounds like it would be featured in the trailer of an A24 horror movie about, I don't know, incest or a rural family's dark secret. In the show, he heads back to his family's farm in North Carolina. It's mostly just him and his friends riding dirt bikes, and on occasion a chicken will make a cameo. That same year, Hayes had a feature role on Hulu's Freakish and released Hollywood Days with Hayes, which was like a book/iPhone application. The book was, I think, a novelized version on the app episode. It's basically just self-insert fan fiction.
Hayes Grier has just landed his first big Hollywood role, the lead in a big budget blockbuster film. Then he meets Violet Reeves, an aspiring writer, who has also been given her first big break. If she aces her new job as Hayes' assistant on the film, which means making sure he is on time, knowing his lines, and doesn't get himself killed, the director will read Violet's own screenplay. That's not how anything works in the industry. The only problem? Violet has a huge crush on Hayes. She has to keep her emotions in check, impress Hayes, and add some heart to her script. But what about Violet's heart? Does Hayes feel the same way about Violet as she does about him?
I'm sorry. Listen, if you read this book and you enjoyed it as a child, I'm hoping it was when you were a child. Look, I've read worse, but you gotta admit this is hysterical. To be fair, he ain't write this book. Which, I mean, he's pretty open about.
Obviously, I would love to say I wrote every page of this book, but I didn't write every page of this book. Me and the author sat down and we were chopping it up, like saying, like, yeah, I write about this, you know, a little bit less about that, more about this, less about that. Whoop-de-whoop, whatever.
Hayes had a brief run-in with the law. He was arrested on outstanding warrants from California. His charges: felony conspiracy, common law robbery, and assault causing serious bodily harm. If I had a nickel for every time I had to read that last charge out loud in this video,
I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
He allegedly assaulted and robbed a man of his $1,200 cell phone, so just like an iPhone. After some investigation, it turned out that all parties were intoxicated and engaged in a mutual affray, with there being surveillance footage of the incident. The only witness that testified said, yeah, the victim, like, openly wanted to fight Grier. I want to see that drunken fight footage so bad. Grier might be petite, but he seems like he'd be hard to knock down, you know? He's sturdy, like a Funko Pop. The charges were dropped on November 1st due to insufficient evidence. I found what I thought was Hayes' official Facebook page, but it seems like this was just a fake account. It gained quite a lot of followers, but eventually once the hype for Hayes Grier died down, the person who was actually behind this account just started posting a bunch of stuff about fathers. And what tipped me off was the fact that I was reading some of the most recent posts and thought, why would Hayes write this? But the deeper that I got into the page, the more this person intrigued me. Celebrity catfish to beleaguered father. What's this guy's story? Hayes still posts regularly on Instagram, but he doesn't seem to be in the industry like that. But hopefully, you know, he stacked his coin, he was good with his money, and he seems to be enjoying nature and, you know, having fun being an uncle. Good for him. Carter Reynolds. Carter Reynolds was born on March 24th, 1996 in Valdez, North Carolina. To his parents, Janie and Jeannie? My apologies to the Reynolds. Man, all of these boys are born below the Mason-Dixon, besides Mendes. Maybe that's the reason he was successful. Carter has a twin sister named Kalia. He's the only one in his immediate family that doesn't have a name with vowels that you don't know exactly how to pronounce. He's half Korean and half white. I don't know what, like, specific flavor of Caucasian, though. He was attending Jimmy Cedron High School when Vine came out. On May 21st, 2013, he posted his first Vine. His persona was more that of a bad boy because he had a reverse snapback. I'll always remember his little black earrings that I thought were gauges. He'd yell, not at, but in close proximity to his mom a lot. And she was probably thinking, dang, so this is the American dream, huh? Once he joined MAGCON, of course, his content would consist of a lot of cheeky posts with the boys. He was getting brand deals with Aeropostale, Coca-Cola, Airheads, Northrop Grumman. I'm just kidding. He wasn't big enough for the last one. Post-MAGCON, Carter is like, I'm gonna throw my own tour, called the Carter Tour. VIP tickets were $75. Maddie Lindman and Alyssa Schaus, who was discovered by Jason Derulo. The two of them were featured musical guests. He was also, like many of the other MAGCON boys, working with Digitour. The general admission ticket for those shows was about $30. But if you wanted to go backstage, you had to fork over $300. He made a YouTube channel soon after, but it has been almost entirely scrubbed clean of anything post-2014, which might be on account of the Maddie Lindman incident, which, I mean, I mentioned earlier that this sort of derailed his, I mean, I guess you would call it a career, but I'm gonna delve into it a bit more now. So in 2014, Carter begins dating Maddie, and they even made YouTube videos together like the Chapstick Challenge, so I know why that video got taken down. When they broke up, but they would rekindle their relationship. In 2015, I'm pretty sure this is what happened, but I can't get like proper confirmation. I think somebody hacked into Maddie's iCloud account and then leaked an audio onto Tumblr, which consisted of Carter, who was 19 at the time, and Maddie, who was 17. I really cannot find the audio, and I mean, I wouldn't really play it, but Teen Vogue did give a breakdown of what happened. In the video, Carter pulls down his trousers in front of her while she is visibly unamused. Before she responds, "This makes me so uncomfortable." Then he grabs himself and chants, "Do it." Also, by the way, I think that I called her Maddie instead of Maggie, which is her actual proper name. My apologies, but I don't think I can like re-record those clips at this point. Okay, going back. Maggie repeats herself, "I'm really uncomfortable." He tells her to act like nothing is there, then offers to shut the light off. Again,
Then, Maggie, from off camera at this point, responds in the negative. "Oh my gosh, Maggie," Carter retorts, audibly disappointed. So many people obviously heard this and realized that Carter was basically trying to coerce someone into performing a sensual act on him, even though she was audibly uncomfortable. So Carter did confirm that the audio was authentic, and he wrote an apology. Some of his fans were saying that the situation was overblown. Carter claims that Maggie wasn't even affected by the incident, which, even if that were true, somebody doesn't have to be traumatized by your actions for them to be inappropriate. Maggie was hospitalized soon after, with it being alleged that she tried to harm herself after, not necessarily the incident, but after the incident became public. This was Carter's response. Maggie is saying I'm the reason why she's in the hospital? Lol, nah. You're crazy and psychotic. Frick you! Yeah, he seems really sympathetic. He broadcasted a very poorly received You Now live stream where he was just trashing Maggie. They were just sparring with each other on Twitter. So this is when brands went, yeah, we're cutting ties with you. He got dropped from 26 MGMT, which was his management team, like a hot potato. Digitor said bye. He got his invitation to VidCon rescinded. I mean, he still showed up though, and some girls took photos with him, but most people were just booing him. They were yelling and throwing up middle fingers at him. It got to a point where he had to be escorted out by security. He did make a very brief return with MAGCON 2.0, but this was the beginning of the end. Apparently, somebody told him that he was not allowed to attend the Minneapolis show. He doesn't say who, but I'm assuming that management just saw him as a liability, and he was tweeting up a storm after this. I mean, again, I'd say a comeback with MAGCON 2.0, but I think he was like invited to the first show or something. I don't think he was like a consistent featured guest. After all of this, I don't know how negatively affected the relationship between him and some of the other MAGCON boys were, because they still seemed to be fairly good friends after this. I don't know if his career would have ever gone that far, to be honest. I don't think the situation prevented him from winning the Golden Globe that he was destined to be awarded. But yeah, he might as well have just started his Indeed profile at this point. He began a relationship with Demi Plaras in 2017, but they broke up in 2021. Back in 2016, he started posting on what was then Musical.ly, including videos with the one and only Jacob Sartorius. In 2020, he started posting on TikTok more regularly. It seems that he linked up with Bryce Hall and the general influencer house brigade. I don't think he was officially in any of the houses. I think he might have just been a glorified squatter. I mean, it was still technically owned in one of those mega child labor corporation. They do little dances. Hee. The comments are more positive than I expected. We miss you, Carter. They said hashtag Me Too is over. The comments on his more recent videos are very funny. I DM'd you. These are either bots or haters. What could possibly be in his DMs? A offender registry website? And in not really a twist, he is into crypto, which honestly I saw coming. He doesn't post on social media that often though, but he's still alive. And finally, we have Aaron Carpenter. Aaron Carpenter was born on October 5th of 1998 in Shreveport, Louisiana. His parents separated when he was young, and his mother, Becky, remarried a man named Jeff Anderson, who already had a son, Nick. His stepfather was very present in his life. He has an older, full biological brother named Dustin Carpenter, and a sister, Candace. Aaron took up drumming at age 11 and later taught himself how to play piano and guitar. He would post covers on his YouTube channel. He was the first member of MAGCON, technically. He was the architect. I mean, he did come back for MAGCON 2.0, but in between those two tours, he released his debut song in May of 2016, She Know What She Doin'. In 2019, he signed with Capitol Records and released the single Attention. Some people say that it was very Justin Timberlake. In 2020, he released You. It is kind of jarring hearing lyrics like, all I need is you underneath the covers. Oh my gosh, Aaron, your mother's gonna hear this. But if he was your like teen crush, sorry, but he's taken now. He proposed to model Connor Franklin in December of 2022. They had a beautiful scenic wedding in August of 2023. Some of the MAGCON boys were present, so it seems like they're all still on good terms. He still makes music, and honestly, it seems like he still has a good head on his shoulders. So, thankfully, my predictions were wrong, and LA did not destroy him. I mean, did he make it? It depends on what your definition of success is. I mean, he's still able to pursue his creative passion. He wasn't forced to go back to working at a Dairy Queen. He's not buried in a Hollywood cemetery, or worse, join Scientology. So I would say that his fate is better than what I expected. He's found love. He still has all of his limbs and teeth. So his fate is better than what I expected. Listen, he survived LA with his soul intact, okay? That's an accomplishment. So that concludes the Where Are They Now portion of the video. We did it.
We finally made it to the end of this 61-page script. I did not delve into like Jacob Whitesides or Mahogany Locks, okay? Sorry. I know that they were technically part of the OG lineup, but I mean, let's be real. They were not the faces of the brand. They're both still alive though, so let's celebrate that. Let me know, which one of these boys was your favorite, and what part of their life or career trajectory surprised you the most? Bonjour, Editing Crouton here, and I just wanted to give a massive shout out to Jesse, Timothy, Abriana, GEC, Brooke and Sarah, Felipe Juan, Raymond, and Biofoot78 for donating to my friend Laura's GoFundMe. Her family was able to exceed the amount that they were looking to raise, and thank you to every single one of you who donated and every single one of you who kept her in your thoughts and your prayers. God bless you. I want to reach through the screen and give all of you a big wet kiss. I should have said that in a Jennifer Coolidge voice. Anyway, thank you so much. Bye. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to my top patrons. If you would like to donate to my Patreon, then the link is in the description or down below. Thank you to my other lovely patrons. Your name should be scrolling on screen as I speak. I upload new Patreon videos every single week, and I have like some vlogs that are coming up from Italy and New York that I think you guys will like, so check out my page. There's no copyright issues on there. I really cannot sing, and it's starting to become embarrassing. Okay, bye.